6:01, good morning. I'm Jonathan Shea for the New England Patriots. Thrashed the Atlanta Falcons 25-0 on Thursday Night Football. It is the Pats' fifth straight win. New England caused 4 interceptions in the rout. Patriots improved to 7-4. Tennessee Titans will try to extend their league-best winning streak to 7 games when they host the 1-8 Houston Texans on Sunday at Nissan Stadium. The League Company countdown to kickoff set for 9 a.m. with Buck Rising. Kickoff set for noon. Titans Radio, Mike Keith and Dave McGinnis on the call. Tomorrow, South Alabama at Tennessee at Neyland Stadium. Kickoff at 6:30. Vol Network coverage begins at 5. The Tennessee Tailgate Show at 4 o'clock with Will Boling and Ron Slay. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
I am not Jason Martin. I'm Rhett Bryan from Titans Radio, filling in for the under-the-weather Jason Martin. I hope he's doing much better today. And I am joined on this show, as usual, by the big man, Ramon Foster, 11-year NFL veteran.
That is a demerit.
That is a demerit to start out. And VFL, Ramon Foster. And the man giving the demerit is the man behind the glass, Jonathan Shaver. You can find us on Twitter at JMart and Ramon, at Schaefer on Sports, at Ramon Foster, at Rhett B. Tennessee. I'll be here for the first couple of hours, and then because of things getting ready for a game for Titans Radio, young Will Boling will come in here at 8 o'clock, and you guys will have the voice of the Titans, Mike Keith. It'll be a great show today, for sure. And I'm going to tell you one reason, Ramon, why it's going to be a great show.
Talk to me, Rhett.
It's because it's Friday. It's Friday.
You played a little Sir Charles as I walked in here.
Tonight I'm going to spend every dime. I've told you before, it's my favorite day of the week.
It is.
And, I got to looking at this. My daughter and I were talking about something the other day, and she goes, what day of the week were you born on? And I said, I'm pretty sure I was born on a Friday afternoon.
See?
That's why.
See? Rhett, so many things tie into it. Of course, it's the end of the work week for most. It's the weekend.
Yep.
So if for anything, you might have something to do or look forward to, or you might just want to kick back. Or it might be a football game.
I mean, yes, and high school playoffs are getting deep into the thing.
Yeah, they are.
And we're getting towards the stretch run now. And my alma mater, the Oakland Patriots of Murfreesboro, are one of the powerhouses in the state of Tennessee. And, I'm looking forward to them progressing and advancing. And, college tomorrow. And then, of course, the Titans host the Houston Texans on Sunday. I had a little football last night, too, by the way, and I don't know if you saw any of that. I watched the first half, and then I went to sleep.
Actually,
and that sounder from The Price is Right, courtesy of Jonathan Schaefer, is because it was a 25-0 shutout over the Falcons, the New England Patriots.
It looked bad.
And that 25 number keeps haunting them because if you'll remember, they were up 28-3 in that Super Bowl. That's a 25-point differential, and then the wheels fell off, and Tom Brady won another world championship. They made them look pedestrian.
They did.
And this is one of the reasons I watched this. First of all, it was on, and I want to see football. But this is the next opponent for the Titans after Sunday, and I'm telling you right now, this is going to be tough. And I knew it was to begin with, but I look at the numbers in this thing. They held Atlanta to 11 first downs. They held them to 40 yards rushing. Plus, they had self-inflicted penalties, 9 penalties for 72 yards, just offsides, just procedure penalties, just stuff that kills you. And the New England Patriots in the first week of free agency spent more than they ever have.
Ran it up.
And 2 of the dudes they got, Matthew Judon, Kyle Van Noy, and they were the difference. They pummeled the hell out of Matt Ryan last night.
And to your point about those 2 guys, Kyle Van Noy, who went to Miami, tried to make it happen, got paid there.
Yes,
got
he
cut.
did. Yep.
Went right back home, Rhett.
And what did he do? Sealed it with a pick 6 last night to just secure a shutout in this thing. But Matthew Judon and Kyle Van Noy made Matt Ryan's life miserable last night. He made him roll up an ankle. They tore up his elbow. I mean, he's blood all over his pants. I mean, it was terrible. And then Bill Belichick does what he does so well in taking away, because there's no Cordero Patterson last night.
Not his problem.
We know Calvin Ridley is out doing some mental health awareness, and no Kyle Pitts. I mean, they took Kyle Pitts out. Now, part of that's Belichick, and part of it is the way the thing went with Arthur Smith's game plan. I mean, he only had 5 targets.
Yeah.
But he's clearly their best weapon, and they neutralized him. But they made them look terrible last night.
Rhett, if I read off the stat line from Cal Van Noy, you bring him up again, because this is what the Patriots do too. They'll lull you to sleep by the mystique of the quarterback.
Yep.
Everybody's talking about Mac Jones, and rightfully so. The young guys.
Mike Jones.
That's my guy right there. The young guy is starting to do some stuff. You're like, okay, the playbook might be slowing down for him. He's being accurate with his passing, as they said, coming out of Alabama. And that's what the Patriots will do. They will lull you to sleep with a quarterback, i.e. Tom Brady. But if you look at everything that they've done in this dynasty, it's been big defense and big special teams, man.
That's the way they want it.
And they find a way every single time. And they just have a poster boy to hide everything else behind the scene. But you know, like I know, and people that's watched them over the years, it wasn't just that offense. That defense will make you go the long way. Their special teams will get turnovers or find ways to keep you backed up. And just in general, their system worked for their guys. And that's one thing you got to be appreciative of, too, is recognizing, man, look, I can go get a bigger bag in Seattle.
A bigger bag.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I can go get a huge bag. What good is that bag, though, Rhett, if I can't play in the system, or they got me out of position when I get there?
That's right.
I think that's what happened with Van Noy when he went to Miami. So now he's back home. And I don't even want to be this guy, Rhett, but I got to when I read off this stat line.
I don't want to be this guy.
I got to
But I'm about to be this guy.
I'm about to, because it's stating the obvious, number one, okay? But the weekend, as far as Defensive Player of the Week, might be over and done with after what Cal Van Noy did.
What's the stat line?
8 total tackles.
Yep.
5 of them solo. 2 sacks, 2 fumbles lost, okay?
And a pick 6.
A pass deflection, 2 quarterback hits, and a touchdown for a pick 6.
Yeah, I just might wrap it up. Although, what if Big Jeff has a big day Sunday against the Texans?
Man, what if he get a safety out of a quarterback's arm?
Man, I'd be tickled if he played that well.
I would be too, and that usually would mean a win, and the Titans moved to 9-2. But hey, the Patriots. And let me tell you what and I'm going to go back to what you said about the quarterback, and you're right. They've got this rookie Mac Jones. Mac Jones is playing better every week.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it, and I'm going to tell you something else they've got. They stole a running back in round 4 at pick 120 with Ramondre Stevenson. You remember him in college?
Yeah.
He wasn't Joey Bag of Donuts here. And this kid, now he only had 69 yards on the ground, but they didn't need that much, right?
Mm-hmm.
But hey, here's the thing about him. All right, they've won 5 in a row now. So this game next week in Foxborough is huge for the Titans.
Yes, it is.
But Ramondre Stevenson, he's averaging over 5.5 yards a carry in his last 3 games.
That's crazy.
He had his first 100-yard game 2 games ago. So I mean, here it is. I can see it developing and see it boiling up here. They're going to be a problem for teams down the stretch. And it's the old wizard on the sideline, old Billy Belichick. Man, he just keeps churning it up.
We had a good game against Atlanta last night. I thought Mac Jones played well, and we're not going to look ahead, but it's on to Cincinnati.
That's basically it.
That's pretty good, too. I don't know that I've ever heard Schaefer do that. That's actually pretty dang spot on.
That was real good.
That jacket I was wearing the other day was from the Bobby Petrino motorcycle collection.
Wow, complete with road rash.
Only thing he was missing was the collar.
Hey, now.
And his friend. But if you look at the rest of their schedule now, they got some challenges still coming up. They absolutely smoked Cleveland. But the thing about this Titans matchup with them is the Titans can't look too far ahead this weekend also.
No. They have to take care of the Houston Texans. We can afford to talk about next week.
Can.
But no, listen, if there's any Titans listening going to the facility this morning, don't just ignore everything I've said, okay? And just concentrate on Houston.
Be better than us right now.
Yeah, please.
But this New England game is gonna be serious, Rhett, when it comes down to it. And they're also getting the Titans. This is 2 weeks in a row that they're getting a team coming off a bye or a mini bye right now. Also, the Texans are right now. And what do you think Belichick is gonna be doing come Sunday at 1:00 when they're playing the Texans here?
Watching El Titans of Tennessee.
I'll be watching the Titans against the Texans, and I might have some vermouth beside me, and then it's on to Cincinnati.
Vermouth.
Do they even have Cincinnati
How
on the
about
schedule?
that?
No.
They have Cincinnati every week with my impression.
I don't even have them, but it makes sense though.
That Bill Belichick soundbite fueled by Skyline Chili
And he'll never
and
eat
the
it.
Montgomery Inn.
and powdered eggs.
He'll
And-
just,
That's right, powdered eggs. That's exactly
he'll just
right.
bring in people to break down the seasoning so he can make it for himself.
Oh man, but
I'm tired of Rabel's team kicking my ass every time we play them. I'm kind of really sick of it, and but then it's on to Cincinnati.
you can see that Mac Jones is going to be something for them. As this thing moves along, he's found. And I remember back in the draft process, back in the spring, I'm like, there's no way if Mac Jones falls to 15, they're there. They take him.
And
He fits perfectly with what they want to do because of the things you pointed out a minute ago, how his accuracy at Alabama and those things. And he had the same kind of dad bod as Tommy Brady had when he came out all those years ago.
Mhm.
And you see some correlations. I'm not saying he's Tom Brady, don't get me wrong, but I can see this is a Patriots type of quarterback is what I'm saying.
So do you think a guy like Odell would actually help this team out more than what he's helping out with the Rams? And I know it's just 1 week, but you got to think.
I think in spots, it's just, you know how they use everybody.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, think about it. They spread it around. It's the backs out of the backfield, all that stuff. So, I mean, yeah, I could see in spots, but not in a consistently
Not
every
consistently.
week kind of thing. Because, I don't know that I would want to do that to a rookie quarterback either.
Right.
I don't think you want that alpha wide receiver
Just
in
taking
that
over
deal.
with that rookie quarterback. Yeah.
Not that he wouldn't, that Mac Jones doesn't have the fortitude to stand up or whatever. I don't think that's a good thing.
No, I'm with you.
So
On
I
that
think
one.
he's where he needs to be right now.
I've seen that happen in real life.
And you know what else we've seen happen in real life?
What's that?
Another segment of JMart and Ramon. It continues next on 104.5 The Zone. J. Martin Ramon, 1045 The Zone. Rhett Bryan in for the Under the Weather Jason Martin Celebrity DJ playlist, courtesy of Mike Golick Jr., and that explains why we have Taylor Swift music for bump music coming out of breaks.
By the way, if he knew, and I'm sure he does know, that I stay where she lives at, he'd never leave my house in Hendersonville. He never. Well, she's from there. I think she's in Franklin, Brentwood.
Yeah,
now.
that sounded weird the way you said that. Was that you were staying where she lived at? And I'm like, are you living in Taylor Swift's house?
It's what I got out of it too. And I'm like, this is interesting. How is Taylor? How's things going?
You know
House
what?
Swizzle.
What was it? Somebody was just telling me recently, like she just randomly goes to like Targets at like nighttime.
She
around
does.
The Brentwood, Franklin area. Was that you that told me that?
No, but I've heard that. I know she's done the one at White Bridge Road. I've heard people seeing her the one in Franklin off of Mac Hatcher Parkway, and a couple other places. Yeah, I think she'll just which is crazy to me because as big a star as she is,
big star.
I don't know how she keeps from getting mobbed.
I think she just plays herself down so much, covers up, probably layer up, and just try to be
But I say that, and then we live in a space where there are a lot of celebrities from different genres, or whether an actor or a singer or whatever, and from different genres of music that live here because a lot of people don't bother them.
They don't, and that's
or they don't realize who they're just kind of like. There's a Starbucks at Nipper's Corner at Old Hickory Boulevard and Edmondson Pike, like you're getting over towards 65, towards the Brentwood that Jason Martin lives in. And it's nothing to walk in there and see Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban getting their coffee.
Just
sure.
Regular people.
Yeah.
That's good, though, man. That's all people want to be sometimes.
Yep.
I'm at my kids' middle school basketball game last night. We were playing against a team in Hendersonville. And when you get put in a position, then you're out of position, you kind of like try to leave the old you behind. I try to leave the football version of me behind. But there was some kids walking down the steps with me when the game was over and stuff like that, Rhett. And he was just like, "You're Ramon Foster?" I was like, "Yeah, I am." And I was about to just, try to walk off and go get the car and stuff. And I was just like, you know what? Slow down. Be cool. Talk to the kids, because even if they aren't a fan of the team I played for, they still watch the sport.
Absolutely.
I played against their favorite team at some point or something like that. So you just always got to acknowledge it. And, of course, they were just treating me like a regular Joe, and that's all I ever want to.
You know what's funny is that when these kids see him, their first question always is, how come you're terrible at the celebrity birthdays game?
You know what? I tell them that's the reason they need to stay in school, okay?
Study up, kids.
Study up, kids, little Bobby.
Hey, let's go to the phones here this morning. Ryan in Mount Juliet, good morning. You're on J. Martin Ramon. How are you?
Good morning.
I'm doing great. How are y'all doing this morning?
Good.
Great.
How are you?
I'm doing good. I just wanted to call and wish all the dads and all the men across the world a happy International Men's Day.
This
Men's mental health is so important. Men's physical health is so important. Being fathers to this next generation that we're creating right now is so important, and that's all I wanted to get on here and say is happy International Men's Day to all of y'all.
Hey, same back to you, Ryan.
Back to you.
Hope you have a great
Ryan.
Friday and a great weekend. That's a great point. Appreciate you calling, man. Thank you.
With so many days that they have, this was one that I appreciate. Just a day, Rhett.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's take a lap, man.
Just take a lap. If these headphones were Bluetooth, I'd run around with you. You might be at the same
I'm
pace.
glad he brought up the importance of mental health, though.
Yeah.
And so we know about the Instagram post that A.J. Brown had over the weekend. And he said, it was an anniversary date from a year ago where he had some suicidal thoughts.
Why don't we play that just to remind everybody?
Yes.
That'd be good, yeah.
Let's do that. And that got everyone's attention. Now, I said it. I put out a tweet because I was so moved by what he said. That took a lot of guts for him to do in a sport that you know better than anybody. And coming forward we're in a place in time where I don't think mental wellness is still talked about enough. It's still taboo.
Mm-hmm.
And so he put that out there. He put himself out there and said, hey, I have a problem with this too. Well, first of all, he got so many well wishes, so many prayers, so many good things and vibes his way. And he made himself more endearing, not only to a Tennessee Titans fan base, but to football fans everywhere or just people in life. Because he's had this problem, and it's very common.
And you know what, Rhett? If it's Friday, we going into the weekend.
Yep.
A lot of people are going to do a lot of stuff this weekend to celebrate, relax, just have a good time, too. And some of it is because, they're trying to mask some stuff. Man, I got to get away, man.
That's
you know
right. They need an escape.
So I think, is a good topic for this time right now because if I can just break this down just even a little bit more from AJ's perspective, I'm not him, but I walked in his shoes for sure in a lot of similar things. So let's go to this, Rhett. As a young man, you always taught to, hey, chin up. We're good. Don't cry. Don't do anything. You hurt? Get up. Let's go.
Rub some dirt in it. Keep going.
And that's kind of how I even do my kids a little bit like that, where I got to pull myself back.
A little tough love.
You got to be firm with them too, but you get told that you're not supposed to cry. You're not supposed to show emotions. You're not supposed to lean on anybody. You're not supposed to just open up. As men, we are terrible at that. I'm sure you've had some moments like, man, I got to talk to somebody, and I throw another aspect in it too. Being a young black man that he is also, I'm sure you always got to have two faces. You know what I'm saying? And he has his friends' faces, and then he has his where he can unleash with his family face too.
Right, let down his guard.
They're different dynamics, and I put his color in there simply because I know where I come from and that type of stuff. When we show that type of emotion, we're looked at, you're sensitive, you soft. You ain't supposed to do that. Whereas more accepted from other people. Maybe I've just read it wrong too. So for him to be the guy that he is, and truth be told too, he's had some ups and downs in his play. He's had some ups and downs in just, what he's done on social media sometimes, although it was funny. But in general, it's been a mask of what was actually going on behind the scene. And the pressure of missing out from games, I'm sure weighed heavy on him. The pressure of not having a stats and number because you were a second-round pick weighed heavy on him. The stress and just pressure of, man, I'm really good. I got an opportunity. If I just get to year 3, year 4, I can get paid and set my family up for the rest of their lives and probably a generation or two down the line. So all of that pressure, all of that boxing it in, all of that not expressing your emotions. If you're having a bad day, tell somebody, let somebody know. And we don't do that. Men, we don't do that type of stuff.
We're not communicators.
We're not.
And that's why your wife, my wife, everybody's girlfriend, wife, why don't you talk about this? Because they talk about everything.
Everything.
To their girlfriends, their buddies. And more power to them. We're just not built that way. But we have to get programmed to do that.
And it's not soft. It's not sensitive. One of the things I've been doing, man, when I talk to youth kids, youth boys or girls, I speak to them about mental toughness, and that goes a lot of different ways, though, too, Rhett. As far as, man, if you got an obstacle in front of you, get through it, because that's what we do. We're programmed to do that type of stuff. But at the end of my conversations I have with these kids or people in general, I also tell them this: but mental toughness is also being strong enough to say, I need help. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I need help, and we don't necessarily do that. And I'm glad a lot more players are doing this. And we
talked about Calvin Ridley with the Falcons.
Ridley,
he's checked out because he needed to go evaluate some things.
Lane Johnson.
Yes,
did
that's
the
right.
Same thing.
That's right.
And I had a buddy of mine, real good friend, Alejandro Villanueva. Now he's seen a lot. You know what I'm saying?
You're talking about PTSD from serving our country, the whole works.
I'm talking about in the front lines of what
seeing some real stuff.
Doing some real stuff. Yeah. But he said something to me probably like 2 years before I retired, and it didn't really register to me, but I really dug into this point. And of course, we all were talking about retirement, although he's still playing right now. He's hurting too. But He was just like, in life is about experiences, number one. Life is about, having fun, but it's mostly about the people that you have around you. It's like, for most of the time, football players, if you don't have a strong group around you that can check you when you're wrong, that you can talk to when, something's going on in your life that you need to, you end up being in a very miserable spot. And I've seen a bunch of guys, man, older guys before me, guys that played 1 or 2 years, Rhett, crash out because they take what the league gave them, use it up, or just don't know what to do with it.
And they're treading water the whole time.
The whole time, Rhett.
And they don't have those accountability buddies to say, hey, man, you good?
Mm-hmm.
You need to talk?
And
let's go out and have
a conversation.
Have a conversation.
Do whatever. And
coffee, whatever.
Full disclosure, my group of brothers, my wife, and a couple others, Rob, Inky, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
My group is Ron, my brother Renardo, Josh, my wife, Inky, Gerard, and Rob. And if there's something marriage-wise.
Man, that hurt, Mo. I mean, I'm right here.
Shafe and I talk a lot, too. Shafe is new to the circle, okay? But we talk a lot, too. We actually had a dope conversation yesterday after work. But I've learned to get that stuff off of me. And you know what, too? It's been times where I've just been laying down on the couch next to my wife, and I just open up, too. It makes her just pop. You know what I'm saying? Like a flower, just, I can't believe you actually did this. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't
she's ready to do her victory lap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, man, from, who was it, Ryan that called earlier?
Yeah.
Take your time. Talk. It ain't soft, and you probably need it more than you actually know. You know what I'm saying? Just had to throw that out there, right? I know this is a long conversation and topic, but it's necessary if it's International Men's Day and we're working on mental health and just trying to be better because the holidays is coming up. Guess who most of that pressure is going to go to if you got a family to make sure you got a turkey?
The man who's killing it and dragging it back to the cave.
Or picking it up at the grocery store.
That too.
But he's probably going to fry it, though.
Yes.
But appreciate this floor, Rhett. This is that's pretty cool, Shafe. And you had that clip queued up, man. I didn't even know we was gonna talk about this
and
morning.
AJ Brown had his first availability since he had that post, and he had it yesterday at St. Thomas Sports Park. Let's hear a little bit of AJ Brown.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Just what made you kind of come out and want to talk about that? I'm so sorry.
You're fine. It's okay. Like I said, it was a dark moment, and it was a year ago where I had thought about, taking my life, and it was special to me because it just came with my heart that I wanted to share with others and help others as much as I can. Like I said, I'm here. I'm so much to be grateful for. I'm blessed. I know I wake up every day and get to play the game that I love, but I have loved ones around me that love me dearly, and I just wanted to help someone. Hopefully I could save a life or anything. So,
wow. Was that, I think that was Kayla Anderson from Channel 2.
Wow.
That was clearly moved by this.
Yeah.
And then, Shafe, we've got another clip from him. Is that right? Let's hear another piece from this.
This is him talking about how he appreciates Coach Vrabel.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
it means a lot. It means a lot. I appreciate Coach Vrabel just for everything. I just try not to. Sometimes I know this is a business, and sometimes you don't want to get emotionally attached or tied with someone, because it's a business side of it. But man, I appreciate him so much, and people like that. I think no matter however this business may go, I think forever I'll be a friend of his and he'll be a friend of mine. But I appreciate him so much for just opening this door, just listening, trying to help me as much as I can. It doesn't go unnoticed with me. So he's definitely family in my book, regardless of we ever part ways down the line. I hope not, but but I appreciate him so much.
AJ Brown clearly moved by his head coach, Mike Vrabel, and Mike Keith asked Mike Vrabel on the Mike Vrabel Show Monday night about him reaching out on his social media post from the previous few days. And this is as human as you will ever, if you like or don't like Coach Vrabel, whatever it is, this is as human as you will ever hear this man speak. And he speaks so eloquently about his friend and his wide receiver, A.J. Brown.
Wrap up this segment by asking you about what A.J. Brown did on Friday.
Uh-huh.
The video that he put out talking about his own mental health.
Yep.
Sharing his story about depression, encouraging people to reach out when they need help, when they don't feel like there's anybody there. He said he had somebody to talk to and it made a difference, and encouraging other people. When you don't think there's somebody there, there's always somebody there. I know you've worked with the Jason Foundation. And so all of this, I would figure, as his head coach and as somebody who just cares about A.J. Brown, makes you very proud.
Extremely. I cherish the relationship that I have with AJ. Some relationships take time. That did, just because of how private AJ is. And I respect that relationship just like I do every player. I'm proud of him for his courage. That takes a lot of courage to put yourself out there like that, to be willing to be criticized, to be judged, to be commented on. And, I don't know if AJ could have done that, or obviously not a few years ago. Just the type of person he is now, the type of father that he is. I love watching him be a dad. There's nobody in this world that is more important to him than his daughter. That's been really impressive to watch him, help raise her. And, he's right. Somebody is there to listen. We've tried to build a great culture here that provides our players, our staff, everybody that works for our organization, a safe place to share, to talk, to not be judged. We're everything we do when we walk out there on that field, we're judged for.
Sure.
And we understand that. That is, judge me for what I do on the field. But when we talk about depression, those are you worry about things that happened in the past that you can't change, and when you worry about things in the future that you have no idea what's going to happen, it's anxiety. And sometimes we all get in our head. We all get in our own head, and rightfully so. But you have to have somebody to talk to. And like I mentioned today, when you next time you ask somebody how they're doing, be willing to listen to what they tell you, and don't just keep it moving and walk on by.
Because you can see something very quickly if you're looking.
Well, if you are looking, and sometimes those warning signs are very difficult. And there's obviously you're just trying to be a human being and make somebody's day better before than it was before they met you.
Good stuff, Coach. And that's a place where the NFL.
And that is some really good stuff from Mike Vrabel. That tells you he's this tough. He was a linebacker and made all these plays in the Super Bowl and won Super Bowl rings, and he's got this team at 8-2, and he's a great human. He's a good family man, and that tells you right there where he is. That's why I really, really have a tremendous amount of respect for Mike Vrabel. And a tremendous amount of respect for A.J. Brown for stepping forward and putting a light on something that is usually kept in the dark.
And honestly, good on Vrabel, too, for letting A.J. open up organically. Because like you said, A.J. is a private person. That's part of it, too.
Yep.
So now that you get that opportunity for him to, peel back the layers of what he's got going on, that's when you got the best person you're going to get and the best player, too, man. It's more in depth to how guys become successful. So it's good on those two for sure.
We'll come back and have more discussion. Maybe it's A.J. Brown, it's Titans, Texans. There's all kinds of things talked about, and we will get that done next on JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Taylor Swift bringing us back on JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Rhett Bryan in for the under the weather Jason Martin with Ramon Foster and Jonathan Schaefer. Celebrity DJ playlist, Mike Golick Jr. and his love of Taylor Swift. That's why we have these songs this morning.
You know what's crazy? She just re-released this album, Red, which is one of her best ones, though.
Sure.
Still sold like 500,000, Red.
I don't doubt it.
And what's crazy, you know, right now, I can go to my phone. You can go to your phone, find whatever you want to.
Mm-hmm.
Over half of those copies were real physical copies. People are actually going to the store to buy her CD.
Yeah, not digital downloads.
No.
Right. By the way, show is always powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. When trust matters, count on All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. Professional garage door installation and repair from a locally owned and family-run business. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com. We're going to go back to the phones here with our big Jake by the lake in Cleveland, Ohio. Cuzzo Mike.
Hey.
Good morning, man.
Hey, yo, good morning.
Happy
What's up,
belated
Greg?
birthday, man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody on Twitter for showing the love. But what's up, Mon?
Mike,
what's
what's
up,
going on,
yo,
man?
You know, just out here, you know, solo driving because I can't have no poopy pants in my truck.
I saw you talking about.
I saw that, too. I was like, man, that's a problem. Okay.
This was a child?
Yeah.
This was a child?
Man, you said what?
Was this a child?
Was it a child?
Yeah.
No, it was. I mean, he had the mental of a child, but he was the old man that needed a diaper and didn't want to admit it. That's how I feel.
Okay.
Sometimes, you know, hey, man, you know, sometimes it's just, if you got to wear a diaper, you got to wear a diaper, dog. You can still get out here and push and move. But that's not what I was calling. I was calling because we talking about getting stuff off your mental. So, you know, as the saying used to go, you got it on your mind, get it off your chest. Let me get this off my chest real quick. We ain't worried about them Patriots. I called Blaine and Mickey yesterday talking about how this defense been mucking up them high-power offenses. How them defenses had Josh Allen looking like a little boy, had Patrick Mahomes readjusting his mental, had Andy Reid feeling like, dang, is it time to hang it up? You know what I'm saying? We ain't worried about them Patriots and what Mac Jones doing because this year, when it comes to that 300, I don't know what y'all talking about that tickle because that 300 don't tickle. That 300 stop everything. You hear me? That 300 going to go out there and fight for their family, fight for their brothers. They're going to go, and that's what we doing Sunday when the Texans try to come in here, and we going to let them know we was always that love you blue. We was always that oil that left you slick on the peel, baby. Talk about it. It don't matter. Tighten up. Let's go. And in the words of my cousin, Funky Cheese, a.k.a. Cass, gas pedal. Let's go. Tighten up. Gas pedal.
Man, Cuzzo Mike bringing the heat.
Yeah, he was.
I can feel that all the way from Cleveland.
I could, too, and it's getting cold up there.
Cold here this morning. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I was going to
man?
say it was like 25 degrees at my house this morning.
Brought my lemon trees in.
Yeah.
Oh, they died
if you
already.
want them to survive, yeah.
I got two. I got to look up how lemons ripen. Do they turn yellow on the vine, or do you pick them when they're full and then they turn yellow in the house?
YouTube can help you with that.
I
I
sure
don't know.
can.
That's a great
Sure
question.
can, right?
I've never really
Ask
attempted to
Emily
grow
Proud.
citrus.
She's got the lemon trees, too.
That's
Emily
right.
does.
She does. That's exactly right.
We're getting a whole lot of headway behind this conversation, too, Rhett, we just had.
Yeah,
man.
you know, if you've missed it, we discussed A.J. Brown. First of all, the social media post he put out last weekend, and then the follow-up with him at the podium yesterday at St. Thomas Sports Park. We also played about a 2.5-minute clip from his head coach, Mike Vrabel. And there's a friendship there that goes beyond head coach and player now because of this. And, I mean, you could hear it in AJ's voice from the podium yesterday. He about got choked up there talking about, hey, I know I've got a friend for life. And I know and he needs to know he's got a friend for life from me. And listen, this hits a little close to home because my daughter is having some issues with some people around her who there's a guy that was in her church youth group that took his life last Saturday night.
Jeez.
And then there's someone else very close to us with the same issues. And so the timing is unbelievable with AJ. And it just shows you that it is so much more common than what people realize. It's just not talked about enough.
Yeah.
And nearly everyone has been affected by something like this. Just like, and this may be a poor correlation, but cancer. Everyone knows someone who's either had cancer, been through it, a relative, someone they've lost. This is the same. It is not, no one's immune to it, I guess is what I'm saying. It does not know gender. It does not know race. It does not know religion. It is mental problems, mental issues, mental health, and it's a delicate balance.
Mm-hmm.
It is and some folks, have more trouble with it than others because maybe there's a chemical issue there, and that's where help. You got to seek it, and you got to try to get some medication if that is what you need help with. For those who don't struggle with it, I think they're the ones that have the hardest time understanding it because it's like, well, I've been pretty low before, but I've never had those thoughts.
Yeah.
But you know what? Until you walked in those shoes, you just don't know.
And truth be told, I'm one of those dudes like that. Like, I have to break myself down, which is why I've been constantly just chipping away at that because I'm always, how you doing, man? I'm good. And I might be having a bad day. You know what I'm saying? Or I won't tell nobody. Like, I got some pressure. I got some stuff going on. And I'm terrible about that, which is why when you have a group, Rhett, when you have a circle, you have your circle. Shafe and I, we have our circle. Everybody got to have somebody where, look, it's me and you know me. And I'm going to tell you some stuff, and I know you're not going to judge me. But I got to get this off of my chest.
Right.
I got to get this off of my mind.
No, that's right.
And there's a difference, too. I think everybody has a bad day. But when you have another one, and then another one, and then another one, and then you start to question, why am I having so many bad days, or how do I get out of this box?
You feel like a little black cloud's following you around, and Murphy's Law is just raining all over you.
Yeah, I'm one of those dudes, right, where I'm always okay. I'm going to find a way. And that's not healthy sometimes.
But that's right. You can't always tamp it down and keep trucking. Life is hard. Life is really hard.
Ain't a playbook for it.
No. And with what the world's been through in the last 18 months, it's proven. It's not easy, and it ain't fair. Life is not fair either.
No.
And those are the things that we all deal with at some point. Ooh. All right. Hour 2 of the fastest 4 hours in radio comes up next. It's JMart and Ramon. Rhett Bryan filling in for Jason Martin here on 104.5 The Zone.
7:03, good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. As just mentioned, Titans going to try to extend their league best winning streak to 7 games when they host the 1-8 Houston Texans this Sunday at Nissan Stadium. Lee Company countdown to kickoff set for 9 a.m. with Buck Horizon. Kickoff at noon with Titans Radio and Mike Keith and the coach, Dave McGinnis. The New England Patriots thrashed the Atlanta Falcons 25-0 on Thursday Night Football. For the Pats, their 5th straight win. They're rolling right now. New England caused 4 interceptions, in the rout. They'll take on the Titans 2 Sundays from now. South Alabama at Tennessee tomorrow in Vols football action at Neyland Stadium. Kickoff is at 6:30. Vol Network coverage begins at 5. Tennessee Tailgate Show at 4 with Will Boling and Ron Slay. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour 2 of the fastest 4 hours in radio. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Jason Martin under the weather. Rhett Bryan here from Titans Radio with Jason. Not with Jason Martin. See, there's another demerit. Go ahead, give it to me.
That is demerit.
Thank you.
Oh, you didn't hear my update at the top of the hour? Whew.
That is demerit.
Oh, it's all over the place. Called Neyland, Nissan, and it was a mess.
Okay.
Oh, it was bad.
It's Friday. That's what it is. That voice you heard right there, that's Jonathan Shaver making it happen. Ramon Foster, 11-year NFL veteran and VFL. On a Friday, hour 2, here we are. I want to go back to something. You guys have it's one of my favorite things y'all do on Wednesdays, your midweek motivation.
Man.
And your teammate, Inky Johnson, the great Inky Johnson, who, listen, if that guy doesn't get you motivated after you hearing him speak, you need to have something checked out.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave a great story that I need to correlate into a Titans story if you haven't heard this. And Jonathan, if you've got that, let's play the midweek motivation from Inky again.
The people we admire for exhibiting excellence are not the people who are perfect or the people who succeed every time. They are the people who recognize that the road to achieving every goal is paved with victory and defeat. The triumphant are celebrated not because they win every time, but because they never quit when they lose. We are more resilient than we could ever imagine. Keep going. And so my press for people, especially young people, when I'm always talking to them is, hey, man, develop your character, right? Understand that everything is interconnected. Experiences, people, up moments, down moments, successes, what we may consider to be failure. Always cultivate your character, right? And so I was sharing an example last week about the team that I spoke to, and right before I spoke to him, the Gatorade bottle that was on the floor, right, of guys just stepping over it, telling me their goals, their dreams, and their aspirations. And when I walked into the room, I took the Gatorade bottle that all the guys stepped over in their facility. I took it in the room before I went to speak to the guys. And I just asked them a simple question, right? Y'all said y'all going to be great. Y'all said y'all are going to accomplish, right? And they're, yeah, man, we're going to crush it. I said, how you going to be great if you're not even picking up a Gatorade bottle that's in your facility? Now, one would say, what's the significance of the Gatorade bottle? These guys can run a 40-yard dash in 4.3 seconds, right? They can lift this. They bench press this. They can do this. What's the significance of a Gatorade bottle, right? It's character. If you don't value every element in every space and place in this facility, how will you be great? If you're not faithful over a few, one day how will you be ruler over many? Because there's so many people in the world that are talented, that are skillful, skill set through the roof, right? But their talent always sends them to a place that their character can't sustain them. People don't burn out, quit, and underachieve because of what they do and because they're not talented enough. But they get to a certain point to where their talent is incredible. But if they haven't been developing their character can't sustain them. It's not about making it to the top. It's about having a character to sustain and stay at the top.
Inject that into my soul, please. More of that. I love Inky Johnson.
And my boys are in the car right now on the way to school, and I'm hoping they heard that too.
Yeah.
I hope a lot of people heard
absolutely. And here's the correlation that I have with his story about cultivating your character.
Mm-hmm.
This is a correlation to the Tennessee Titans. And he said it's not about making it, it's about sustaining it. The Titans are 8-2. They own the best record in the AFC right now and tied for the best record in the league. All right? And you're like, well, where's this going? If you haven't heard this story, I want you to think about this, because he talked about he's speaking to young men, and there's a Gatorade bottle in the floor that they just keep walking over while they're telling Inky, I'm going to do this and I'm going to be that. The first day that John Robinson was on the job as the general manager of the Tennessee Titans, this would have been in January of 2016. What does he do? He goes out and walks his practice fields because he wants to see his facility. There's trash that is blown from somewhere or dropped or whatever up against the chain link fences. He's out there cleaning up trash on the edges of the practice fields because it's the same thing Inky's saying right there. He said, this is unacceptable. This is a National Football League. This is not a Titans field. I'm going to define, we're going to define what a Titan is and the Titans way. And it starts with those little things right there. And then you flash forward to now, and all of the roster that he's built, the trades that he's made, the free agents he's acquired, and the head coach that he and Amy Adams Strunk helped procure and hire in Mike Vrabel now in year 4. And that foundation is there. I am convinced it's those little things like that that have made this team where it is and why they're physically and mentally strong. They're going to the Lions' Den on the road of some team they're not supposed to beat, and what do? Beat them. And it's because it starts with things like that.
And that goes a long way, too. Like you said, it's simple to pick something up, help somebody out, leave, opening the door for someone. But again, he inherited this place, and almost every place, a lot of people's households have flaws. That's the one thing I picked up. This is one of the first things Inky said. People aren't perfect. This organization wasn't perfect. But you got to build.
And it's still not perfect.
But you got to build. You got to cultivate a whole bunch of things. You got to be able to say, hey, look, no matter who's coming in, player 82 right now for this Titans organization this year, only halfway through the season. And you got to say, why are they able to still maintain and sustain what they've done so far? It's because there's been a culture in place.
That's right.
It's because there's been
built
integrity.
their character. They cultivated their character.
Yeah. And that's what you want from an organization. I know a lot of people will compare the organization I play with to a bunch of other stuff. Like, this is a standard. The New England Patriots have been a standard. Green Bay has, the legacy teams. I know Chicago's down, but they have a bunch of history. And when it comes down to saying, man, you want to be a marquee franchise, you want to be there. And it starts by doing the small things.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It starts by the type of guys you look to bring into your building, which they have done that. It's clear. The Titans have a type. If I asked you what asked you, I know some people get on me for saying asked, but if I asked you what's the Titans type, what's a Titan? You could probably write it down.
A Titan, from their description, is team first, accountable, responsible, punctual, mentally and physically tough, and will do anything for your teammate.
Selfless. Before
you'll do it for yourself.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to let your teammate down. Strength in numbers together. And you're right. You come from an organization in the Steelers that clearly have that foundation. I mean, for gosh sakes, you've had 3 head coaches in your franchise in over 50 years. Just 3 coaches. That's it. Chuck Noll to Bill Cowher to Mike Tomlin. That's it. That's unheard of.
How many have the Miami Dolphins had?
How many of any of them,
you know
really?
What I'm saying? Like, there's a standard to how you want to operate as an organization, and you got to give it up for John Robinson. It's not like he's perfect in what he's doing. Nobody is. There's going to be pitfalls. I mean, but
he and Mike Vrabel would tell you they're not perfect immediately.
All of that builds a culture. All of that builds a standard of what the fans can expect, what the front office can expect as far as them managing everything on the ground level, and what the fan base can grow to love. That's the beauty of what sports are, and I'll say this, specifically football too. I know Ron actually just texted me. I know people will, say there's probably differences in football to basketball to hockey to baseball, but football is really a family of people, Rhett, that you got to be on the same page doing the exact same thing to achieve the number one goal, and that's to win at the end of the week and get to the Super Bowl when it's the NFL or state championship, which playoffs are going on right now.
Yep.
So in order for that to happen, you can't have one person go rogue. Why did Cleveland get rid of Odell, honestly? He was going rogue on them.
It's that way in a lot of places.
And it messes up, you know what I'm saying,
Yep.
what you got going on. But again, JR and Vrabel have kind of set that tone on what to expect for people coming in and out of that door, those doors at the practice facility.
And they've been able to identify some guys they brought in off the street in the middle of the week, had one practice, and then had to go out and play.
Yeah.
And they've made a contribution. And it's because they identify the type of what a Titan is. And, again, we talked about it yesterday, and you just mentioned it. 82 players on the active roster halfway through the season. There's a dubious list of other teams, and 3 of them last year, and the 49ers, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the New York Jets. And I think combined they had like 6 wins, whatever it was. They were the top 3 picks in the draft. I mean, it was crazy. So to see that they're 8-2, there's got to be something more to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, there is. There's a foundation there.
Yeah. And those guys in that room probably can't even spell it out or tell it descriptively to
And
you.
it's because it's more than one thing. It's a
Exactly.
culmination of many things.
Exactly.
And many people's efforts, time, talents, all of those things. And you hit the nail on the head, all having one common goal.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Great discussion this morning. We are headed, we're sweeping through hour 2 here of JMart and Ramon. And we're going to keep talking. And we're going to keep talking because Titans and Texans are this weekend. And I'm going to bow out here at the end of this hour. And Will Boling's going to take over. And you're going to have the voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, during the 8 o'clock hour. You're going to have former Titans tight end Ben Troupe in the 9 o'clock. You're going to have a good show. It's going to be good. We want you to hang out with us. More of JMart and Ramon coming up next on 104.5 The Zone. Y'all see Schaefer dancing on Zone TV.
He's loving
dancing
it.
to say Taylor Swift. JMart Ramon 1045 The Zone. Rhett Bryan in for Jason Martin with Ramon Foster and Jonathan Schaefer. And the DJ Celebrity Guest Playlist. It is Mike Golick Jr. with all of the Taylor Swift songs. That's the bump music this morning, courtesy of Mike Golick Jr.
It is. I might actually go back and listen to some stuff where I've never listened on her album.
Well, let me tell you something. She's super talented.
Yeah.
And, I mean, she writes a lot of her stuff. I mean, she got some mailbox money coming in.
Hey, now.
I mean, whoo-wee, goodness gracious. But, yeah, she's very talented. Yeah, I know quite a bit of her music. And, of course, you know, if you're in certain places, you hear it everywhere. I mean, good grief.
Yeah.
All right. And so we've been talking about the foundation of the Titans. And, you know, we replayed your teammate, Inky Johnson, with the story about talking to young fellas and walking over a Gatorade bottle laying in the floor and, you know, taking attention to little details and cultivating your character and building a culture. And that's why I shared the story about John Robinson going out in the practice fields and you know, picking up trash the first day he's on the job as general manager, because he had an idea in his head. This is how this Titans organization needs to run. There's a standard we have to start and we have to move towards, and they're still working on that.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I see a lot of people in the Zone chat, and they're right. You know, 2-14 wasn't that long ago. I mean, in 2014 and 2015, they were 5-27 in those years, Ramon. They were terrible. And to see that to where it is now, it's amazing.
So for a guy that's watched this grow to what it is right now, the Titans, I mean, number one in the AFC, where exactly was it? How was that 2-14 season, Rhett? Because
it was abysmal. As
a player, I just when we lost 8 games and we were 500, I thought that was the end of the world, man. Yeah. How, like, you covered it, and just being around the players, what was their mentality, man, as we look back halfway through the season?
You could really see the grind on them halfway through the season.
A grind.
And certainly down towards the end of it. I mean, it was almost like they couldn't wait for locker clean out day, the day after the regular season, because it's like, man, I'm out of here. Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
I mean, it was awful. It was awful. And hey, from our perspective on Titans Radio, try coming up with positive storylines and features and things when nothing great's happening. I mean, it's something else.
Yeah.
And you know, I've covered this team from day one since they moved here, and I've seen all the ups and downs. This currently feels like that window of 99, 2000 when they finally got moved into the stadium. They had the uniform and the name change, and things just went like a house of fire. But again, and this goes back to what's going to happen this weekend. It's Titans alumni weekend, Titan homecoming weekend. A lot of guys, a lot of former players will be in town. And then at halftime, they are inducting Jeff Fisher, the former head coach, and the former general manager, the late Floyd Reese, into the Ring of Honor. Rightly so. You cannot tell the Titans story without these two gentlemen.
Yeah.
And they got to a Super Bowl and really should have won it the next year, but lost in a home playoff game to the Ravens in 2000. That's a nightmare that I don't want to relive.
Birds, man.
Oh, gosh. But it's because they built some things prior to that, and it goes back to Floyd Reese being the general manager a few years before in Houston. I think it was 1993 was his first year. And he had drafted Steve McNair. He had drafted Eddie George. He had gotten some free agents and put some things in place. And then they lived like vagabonds for about 4 years, because their last year in Houston, here's the Astrodome holds 80,000 people, and there's 18,000 people in there, which feels like there's 500 when you're that empty, because they knew they were leaving.
Yeah.
And then the next year is 1997. They become the Tennessee Oilers, and there's no place for them to play in the Middle Tennessee area, and they made a deal to play at the Liberty Bowl in Memphis. And that ended poorly, because at the end of the season, they played your team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the problem is it was raining that day.
Yeah.
And the ponchos that they had available for sale were all yellow. So it looked like a Steelers home crowd.
Ah.
And Mr. Adams said, "Hey, we got to get out of this. We got to get to play in Middle Tennessee because think about it. If you're based in Nashville, you played 16 road games.
Yeah.
You got to travel to your home games to get that done, and then you're going all over the place to play your regular road schedule. So they strike a deal and they play at Vanderbilt in 1998, and again they're going 8-8, 8-8, 8-8, and then 1999 comes and you have seen Eddie George continue to carry the load. You have seen Steve McNair start to step forward as a better quarterback and a passer who was dangerous with his legs. And the next thing you know, they're starting to reel off wins. And that's the thing. I've been reminded all week about, well, that was an ugly win over the Saints, 23-21. Yeah, you know what? But it's a win. It's a stacked win. And I'm looking right now. I went back and looked in the media guide at some of the wins they had in those streaks. Because, again, they went 13-3 both years, plus playoffs. They went 26-6 in 2 years.
That's major.
That's strong.
Winning 10 is what most coaches want to get. Double-digit wins, that's all we say, double-digit wins. We didn't want 9 and 7. But once you start getting 10 and then 11 and then you get 12, that means you've won most of your games at home and split. But then you get another one in 13, it's like you almost feel untouchable, Rhett. That's a beautiful feeling.
All right. So the Super Bowl year, the first regular season game at Nissan Stadium, it was a barn burner with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh.
And they had Akili Smith, who they drafted 3rd overall from Oregon.
Did.
And he got knocked out of that game, or they pulled him. I can't remember which. Jeff Blake, the former East Carolina star, comes in and starts slinging it because this is when they still had Carl Pickens, Darnay Scott, those guys. And so it's a barn burner. And they're leading late in this game. And they win that one 36-35 at home. Then they trounce the Cleveland Browns at home the next week. They win a 20-19 game in a deluge. I mean, a downpour in Jacksonville. It was so bad, the rain was. And Jeff Fisher took a safety late in that game to make that like that. And Samari Roll picks off Mark Brunell out of nowhere. And the next thing you know, they squeak out of that with a 1-point win. They had a 2-point loss to San Francisco, and that was the first start for Jeff Garcia because the week before is when Steve Young had the bad concussion and never played again.
Wow.
They had a 14-11 win over Baltimore. They had a 24-21 win at New Orleans over Mike Ditka, who was the head coach of the Saints at that time with Ricky Williams. Then they get to the Halloween game. The St. Louis Rams are undefeated on Halloween, and of course, that's the preview to the Super Bowl, unbeknownst to us at that time. Steve McNair has been out at this point because he got hurt in that Cincinnati game, had back surgery. Neil O'Donnell goes 3-1 in that stretch while he's out. And the Titans win that one 24-21. Thrilling game there. Then they go to Sunday Night Football in Miami, and McNair throws 3 interceptions to Sam Madison. They get blanked 17-0. That was their worst loss of the year.
Riddle me this, if you remember. How was the fan base at that point about Mac at that point?
There was so much excitement because it was new, the Titans, the stadium, the whole thing. I don't think it was very much. It didn't seem like a terrible week because it's like move
That's what
forward.
I was wondering. Coming off from
and again, they hadn't lost more than one in a row.
Okay, so it was due one is what you can say. Okay.
Then they went to Cincinnati, had a 10-point win. They had a home game against Pittsburgh, won 16-10. Then they went to Cleveland, won 33-21. They won big. No, lost. You know what? This was their worst loss. My apologies. They went to Baltimore and lost 41-14. But they had a 21-14 win over Oakland at home, a 30-17 win over Atlanta at home, then a big win over Jacksonville at home, 41-14 in December, and then 47-36 at Pittsburgh. That's the Millennium game. That was when they were afraid the world was going to stop when it turned to 2000. We spent 3 days in Pittsburgh that weekend. And then here comes the playoffs. And, they have 3 straight wins. They go to the Super Bowl and they lose 23-16 in the Super Bowl 34. But in 2000, the year they should have won, here's a 23-20 win over the Steelers, a 28-14 win over the Giants, 23-14 at Cincinnati, 27-13 Jacksonville, a 14-6 win over Baltimore, 27-21 over Washington at Washington on Monday Night Football, 24-23 loss to Baltimore. Again, I mean, just these really close games. At an Eagles game, 15-13. That was a El Del Greco 5 field goal game there. And again, they won, but sometimes it was ugly. That's what I'm trying to say in a long story short about where this team is and what it kind of reminds me of.
And again, there's no ranking. There are no polls at the end of it. You either win or you lose when it comes down to it.
It's the only thing that matters.
When it comes down to this NFL gig, and it ain't going to be pretty sometimes, and you might lose somebody you're not supposed to. By the way, I'm realizing, too, as you was reading off those numbers, this was also the time in which it was the AFC Central.
Bingo. And it's before they realigned the divisions. So you had – and that was the division that was stacked oddly. So you had more division opponents than you did – you didn't have 4, you had 5.
Yeah, that's what I'm
You're playing
hearing.
Baltimore twice, Pittsburgh twice, Cleveland twice, Cincinnati twice.
That's what made me realize that.
Yeah.
And now I also see, too, why that rivalry is what it is, too. Like, Titans-Pittsburgh has a whole lot of series, a whole lot of history. That Baltimore Titans has a whole lot of history, too.
Oh, yeah. Now, the one with the Steelers goes way back because you're talking about – they lost to them in 2 AFC championship games back in the Lovely Blue days.
You know what's crazy is when Munch came to coach us, our whole line, I almost felt like he had to grit his teeth a little bit because there was a little bit of like natural hate behind that.
Oh, heck yeah.
And he was there to do a
question.
job. But he's a PA guy from Scranton, PA.
That's right.
He loves the game. He's a curator of the sport. So he did his job, man. But and he enjoyed his guys, us that he was coaching. But I could tell when we have conversation, he used to bring up the AFC Central and the slug out fights that you have to knock down, drag out fights that these two teams had with the Titans and Pittsburgh. And he'd also speak on the Baltimore, Titans also at those times. So it was.
Well, the Baltimore thing is huge because, so they have, I think, a better team in 2000. That's the team that should have won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And so they are the number 1 seed. They're hosting – the road to the Super Bowl goes through Nashville.
Yeah.
And so they have a bye week, and then they host the Ravens in the divisional round, and it's one of the worst games. I mean, it's Al Del Greco's last game as a kicker. He had field goal block. Eddie had basically Ray Lewis ripped one from him in mid-run. It basically was like – counted as a fumble recovery, but I mean, he ran it back for a touchdown. It was just bad. It was terrible. It's a nightmare. And then you flash forward to 2008, and this is when Coach Mack is an assistant head coach with Jeff Fisher. They go 10-0 to start.
Ooh.
And so anyway, again, first seed, Ravens come to town. They twist CJ2K's ankle in that late first quarter.
Yeah.
And he was having he had already had like 70 yards. He was going to have a big day. And he's going to pop one of those home run where he hits the 6th gear after about the line of scrimmage, goes about 90.
Yeah.
That we'd seen a million times.
I've seen that.
And they took him out.
Wow.
I'm convinced they took him out. I saw him twist his ankle in the pile.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Mac Jones did.
So they ended up losing that one. So, again, 2 number 1 seeds, home playoff. Nope. Ravens twice. And then they get into the playoffs last year.
Mm-hmm.
Who do they got here?
The Ravens.
So, yeah, there's a hatred there.
There's
no question.
Real hatred there, man. And I can appreciate it, too, because it's like this now. You play Baltimore once every 4 years, or if you're tied up in the AFC. So if the Titans won't play them because Baltimore finished second in the AFC North. So but if they finish first this year, you'll get them again next year. So I like the way they kind of slate that a little bit. But watching the way, the AFC Central has kind of broken up, but these teams still, for the most part, maintain this hate, it's the beauty of what we got going on. When that happens on the field, when the fans can buy into it a little bit, it's awesome. And I never really understood it, Rhett, because I was young and, I used to just be out playing. I used to tell people all the time, like, I played the game. I never watched a whole lot of it to where we had a team. Like, I had a team as a kid growing up, but it wasn't like going to the games and buying jerseys and stuff like that. I just enjoyed the game. So when I used to come down here to play the Titans, one, it was home for me. It was cool.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? But the fans, and I used to laugh at it, not laugh, but just be like, wow, there's a real hate here. Now you've explained to me why that hate is what it is, right?
Oh, yeah. And listen, that Jeff Fisher, it's so apropos that we're talking about him and Floyd Reese being put in the Ring of Honor this weekend. Pittsburgh week.
Yeah.
That was he would say, hey, boys, we're going full pads this week. Pittsburgh week. Because we knew when you guys got off that bus, we talked about it.
Yeah.
The standard is there. The character, the stature, the culture, the vibe is there. And we knew when you guys got off the bus, it's like, okay, that's a Pittsburgh Steelers. This is the real deal.
Yeah.
They're grown men walking off this bus, and they expect to walk back on that bus with a win.
And what's so wild about
you better bring your A game.
What's so wild about that also, Rhett, is having Muntz say similar things that you're saying. When, and that's why it was I caution like Titans fans, and just I can't caution the team, but the more you win and when you create a culture in which the Titans have right now, that target gets bigger. So when you play a team like the Houston Texans this weekend, you become the team that they want to reset their season with. Mm-hmm. You can't allow that to happen.
No, and they would love to spoil this party.
I'm talking about they want to reset their season off of your back, man.
And that's why these boys, the Titans, get on that field and pin their ears back and get after it.
Yes, sir.
Bury them early.
Yes, sir, Rhett.
We're going to be back in just a minute to wrap up hour 2 of JMart and Ramon right here on 104.5 The Zone. Back to finish up hour 2. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Jason Martin under the weather. Rhett Bryan from Titans Radio here with Ramon Foster and Jonathan Shaver. And there's the lovely Taylor Swift.
That's the 10-minute version of All Too Well that's got everybody in their feelings right now, including Mike Golick Jr.
And Mike Golick Jr. is the guest celebrity DJ. His playlist, it's all Taylor Swift songs. So that's the vibe this morning on Friday. Hope you're having a good one. This is quite the contrast from yesterday's rainy and kind of overcast. Now, it's cool out there, but it's beautiful. Look at that sunshine out
We got
there.
some sun, but it will freeze you up today, though.
Oh, yeah. There was frost on the pumpkin this morning. I think it was 25 degrees when I rolled out of my driveway this morning. And But
Gotta hate when there's frost on the pumpkin stem, man. It's the worst.
I didn't say the pumpkin stem.
Phrasing.
Jonathan. I said the pumpkin.
Grow up, Schaefer.
Come on, man.
What are we going to do with this guy,
Full
man?
disclosure, after the show, Ramon will then come to me and be like, dude, that was funny.
I will.
And I will, too.
I know.
I mean, come on.
That's right. Yeah, but you'll be gone. You got production meetings coming up.
Well, I'll be in the studio for a
That's
little
true.
bit, but then
That's
I've
Big
got
time
production
Rhett today,
meetings.
man.
Well, here's the thing. So I was never invited to the production meetings before when they were in person. And so we had production meetings every Friday with John Robinson and with Mike Vrabel. And during the pandemic, everything done Zoom, like everything in the world was. And so because I'm the producer, the executive producer, and, I'm the one that's got to put it all together and us be able to record what we need from coach or general manager and all that. So by that way, the necessity, I was invited into the production meetings. And now they want to meet in person, and I'm still invited. So I'm honored. I'm like, this is great, because Coach Vrabel said last week, he said, hey, I want to see you guys in person. I miss seeing you guys. Let's get together on the back porch there at St. Thomas Sports Park where he does his pressers. And he said, let's have our production meeting. I'm like, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And he wants to do it again this week. So I'm like, hey, that's great. Fantastic.
What's so crazy, Ray? You just got an exclusive relationship with Vrabel. And a lot of people just like, man, Rhett get to go holler at Vrabel. But he's just a guy to you.
But I'll tell you, and I do, I have a tremendous amount of respect for him as the head coach of the Titans. I ain't gonna lie to you, I love Mike Vrabel. He's been really, really nice to me, really, really good to me. He's a good person. He can come off edgy and salty, and he's a tough you-know-what.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a great dude and a great family man. And I really respect him. And John Robinson, the same way. But I have a tremendous amount of respect for them. And I'm glad to be invited into that little realm of things.
Bubble.
Because, and I'm not there just to get the information that maybe he shares with us that isn't public for a while or whatever. I'm there just to see, hey, how you doing? How's your week been? And he asked me, how you doing? How's your week been? So it's awesome. But I'm very fortunate that I'm able to do that.
So speaking of Vrabel and his team, though, Rhett, I want to ask for you to predict it or anything like that, because you about to leave me, man.
I know.
About to leave me. I'm about to get Will in here, which is my guy too. I mess with Will. I like Will a whole lot. But they do the job this weekend, in your opinion, the guys.
Yeah, I think they do.
Yeah, they do.
I see no reason for them not to, based on what they've just gone through. Now, it's different this week because you've been through all these gamut of teams that were in the playoffs the year before.
Mm-hmm.
And so that challenge is, everybody steps up their game. It's like, man, I want to take down the Rams on Sunday Night Football. I want to do this. I want to take down Kansas City at home. You cannot say, well, this team, you can't box in the Houston Texans by just saying they're 1-8 and they're in the bottom of the division. They are still an NFL team. They still get paid to play.
Coming off a bye.
They're coming off a bye. They have fresh legs. Yes, their organization has been a mess with everything top to bottom. But, again, they would love nothing better to come into Nashville, Tennessee, and to spoil it for their division rival.
Mm-hmm.
Because, after all, we're talking about Pittsburgh and the Oilers and Tennessee Titans and the Ravens and the Titans. There's some animosity there because when Mr. Adams moved this team here, one of the caveats with the league and with Commissioner Paul Tagliabue at the time was, we get to keep the history of all that stuff in Houston. So when the throwbacks come and they've, put in the thing where you can have a second helmet that would allow for an Oilers
full
throwback,
outfit.
They're butthurt that they can't wear those things.
Chapped.
And you know what I hope? I hope Amy Adams Strunk and John Robinson and Mike Vrabel go into Houston and wear them on like a Sunday night football game in Houston. That's how bad I want that to happen.
Okay.
I mean, but yeah, I think they do go take care of the Texans. And again, I don't think it's going to be easy at first because they're going to bring everything they got. But you've got to make punch, counter punch, and just keep doing. You've got to get on them early and get them out of this.
And that's what you got to do to bad teams, man. I ain't gonna call them bad teams. Teams that have bad records.
Right. That's right.
Yes.
There's a difference.
There's a difference because there's any given Sunday in this league.
Yep.
And that's not to say that, the Titans will drop a game or nothing like that, but that's just the reality of the world that the guys live in, that the teams live in. And that's the reason I want to just ask you, how did you feel about this weekend as far as who's got to do what, man, and will they get the job done?
Brandon Cooks on third down. That is huge.
Yeah.
Field position is going to be huge with the punting game and the kicking game because it looks like the weather's not going to be great. It looks like it's going to be rainy and maybe a little wind. So, that's always plays a factor in this. And you just, do the fundamental things you've got to do. Hold on to your own football and take care of it and try to make them lose theirs. And this defense of theirs has forced 14 turnovers. They've got 9 interceptions. They're not chopped liver.
Right.
But if you can make them turn it over and then capitalize on that and separate that score, that's where the game changes. You know it.
That's why I've told you, have a team like this ready to pack it up after the first 5 minutes of the second half.
Yeah. Yeah. When you get them off their right foot early and then you can just hit them with a gut punch that sends them in orbit in the first drive of theirs or whatever in the third quarter, you can pack it away and salt it away and stack another win. Hey, time to get out of this hour, go into hour 3 of JMart and Ramon, where the voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, will be a guest. And also, we're switching hosts. Will Boling steps in for these last 2 hours while I go prepare for Texan stuff. Enjoyed the last day and a half with you, both of you guys. It's been a lot of fun. I hope Jason Martin's feeling better.
Me too.
And let's go tighten up. So more of JMart and Ramon next on 104.5 The Zone.
Tighten up.
It is 8:02. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Shea for the New England Patriots. Thrashed the Atlanta Falcons 25-0 last night on Thursday Night Football. The Pats, their fifth straight win. New England caused 4 interceptions in the rout. They will be taking on the Titans 2 Sundays from now. This Sunday, Titans will try to extend their league best winning streak to 7 games when they host the 1-8 divisional rival Houston Texans. Lee Company countdown to kickoff set for 9 a.m. with Buck Rising. Kickoff set for noon with Titans Radio, Mike Keith and Dave McGinnis. Mike Keith set to join us in about 15 minutes from now on JMart and Ramon. Also Sunday, former Titans coach Jeff Fisher and former general manager, the late Floyd Reese, will be inducted into the team's Ring of Honor. A Vols doubleheader tomorrow. The nightcap will be football. South Alabama at Tennessee. Kickoff at 6:30. Vol Network coverage begins at 5. Tennessee Tailgate Show at 4 with Will Boling and Ron Slay. Basketball earlier in the day will be part of the Hall of Fame tip-off tournament in Connecticut. Number 5 Villanova against number 17 Tennessee. Tip-off will be at noon, courtesy of the Vol Network. And tonight, 6A quarterfinal action. High school football, Ravenwood at Summit, 7 o'clock kickoff. The call will be Will Boling and Lucas Panzica on that. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on Over the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's going on? Welcome into the show, JMart and Ramon, second half of the program. This is not Rhett Bryan anymore.
Hey!
I am the captain now.
Oh, God.
My name is Will Boling, alongside Ramon Foster. Jonathan Schaefer.
This is so ridiculous.
Rolling his eyes at me. If you took the under, congratulations. You're at 2.5 minutes.
3.
For
3 eye rolls in 2.5 minutes.
For the first eye roll from Jonathan Schaefer. How are we, boys?
We're good, Will. We just
Rhett.
got a whole
Hey, okay.
we just got a whole history lesson from Rhett, man. It's awesome going down memory lane with him, man. Even as an outsider that didn't see it up close in person, Rhett is an encyclopedia of information, man. I almost messed that word up right there, Will.
Rhett is my eyes and ears on things that I was not yet alive for.
Oh, you're so young.
I mean, truly. I remember. Oh, I mean, I always say that I'm in the first generation of fans in Nashville that grew up knowing no other Nashville than having 2 professional sports teams.
That's so true.
And so my age of people that are moving back here after college now and coming back home are now old enough to start buying season tickets and getting invested in these teams. And so,
how old are you, Will? Tell the people, man, because you're saying this, but we need to know how old you are. Come on, fella.
24 years old.
I'm logging off of my life right now.
24. I was trying to figure out if I was going to get a second contract at that age.
Yeah, thanks.
I remember that.
Well, I know who had more career earnings by the time they were 24.
This guy.
No doubt about that.
Hey.
I decided to be a runner and not get hit by people.
That's true.
And, just in the process, forfeited a couple million. But
and look at us. We're here now.
That's right. All roads lead back to Cumulus Nashville.
I act 24 sometimes. You act 35
Sometimes.
I was going to say,
wait, what?
I'm 24 going on 83.
But see, that's the reason you always try to, hey, Mon, you want to do this? You keep me around because we're a lot alike, Will.
Yeah.
That's my guy.
VFLs, man. Come on. That's all we need to know.
One's skinny and white, the other one's big and black.
Yeah,
Yes,
no, see, I'm light-skinned and he's white-skinned. Get it?
You stayed in Gibbs Hall. Yeah. I stayed in the dorm that was rebuilt after Gibbs Hall got demolished in the same place.
I played on the field, and you came to watch me play on
That's
the
right,
field.
I did. we were talking about this the other day, actually, Shafe. We were going down memory lane of, like,
You're not old enough to have memories.
No.
He's done a lot. I sat and listened to Will talk. Will's done a lot.
He verbally
man.
just hit me on the head with a newspaper.
I'm trying. How many games have you actually been to live games?
So
man?
I've got in my notes of my phone. Let me pull this up real quick.
Come on, Willard.
I
want to call you Willard.
Willard? Oh,
Willard.
He's
because
so
Will Smith's name,
he's so
isn't
Willard now.
He's
for
Willard
sure.
now. For
Absolutely.
Sure.
So
everyone, let's call Will Willard.
Young Will is now Willard.
Follow me. I've been called a lot worse. especially before 8:07 a.m. So we'll take it. We'll take it.
Recently.
So I've got my unofficial record at Tennessee games at 94-62. That was through the Pittsburgh game this year.
Hold up.
Unofficial.
94-62.
Of games you've been in attendance?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
For Tennessee.
What?
Yeah.
In 24 years.
Yes. So I've got 9 SEC stadiums.
Here's the problem. That's a lot of losses.
Hey, man. Hey.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
This is
Am
a
I
guy
wrong?
that he was on
Am
the
I
field
wrong?
for some of those. Come on.
I know.
What are we doing?
We had a good era.
Wait, you just quickly switched to my side of this.
I did. You see who I'm turning against right now.
Stupid.
And also, let's be real. You did the Braves in Atlanta. You go to Titans games.
Yes.
What other big event have you actually gone to also?
So I was on a smaller scale. I was at in the Carlton Flat days of Brentwood Academy football. I was at those at like 1.
Yeah.
I was born the week that Brentwood Academy was put on probation in 97.
What did they put on probation for?
Recruiting stuff back in the late 90s.
I was going to say, it's something we need to talk about.
So sore subject. I think my brother, like I had just come home from the hospital. My brother was like sobbing because Brentwood Academy was put on probation at the time.
Wowzers.
Because he was in middle school at the beginning of the time. But no, I had that, and I was there in 2007 in Lexington in 5 overtimes, and you guys won the SEC East.
Me and you on the same field
That's
at the
right.
same time.
That's right.
There we go.
When who was it that tackled? Somebody tackled Andre Woodson on a 2-point conversion to win that thing. What 45-43? I think.
Linebacker.
It wasn't Harrelson, was it?
Paris was Paris there in 07?
I don't think so. Was he?
Oh,
is it what? Turk McBride.
Turk McBride. That's
Turk
who
McBride
it was.
made
Yeah,
the tackle.
Turk.
Gerard Mayo was right around the play.
Yeah, he
Man,
was.
so I'll tell you what. So backstory on this. Ramon and I did this for like an hour last Friday night.
We did.
We were freezing our butts off.
Feet.
Just
head.
as cold as I've been in a long time. Yeah. And we were just talking about like, oh, wait, so all right, 2004, I was there. And you're like, yep, I was
cold because you're like 120 pounds.
No, it was windy.
I mean,
up
I
top.
was when I was here in high school. There's no doubt about that.
But yeah, we went through a lot of scenarios. Did you go to the SEC championship in 07 too?
I was not there for that one. Yeah. I was there for the Auburn one a few years before.
Yeah.
Cadillac Williams.
Yeah, I remember that one.
My family was there for the Matt Mock SEC championship. I don't think I was at that one. Where they were wearing they had roses at halftime.
It's
they were passing out roses.
Mr. Caples in the zone chat saying, "Man, I forgot BA got put on probation. That must have got ugly down there, huh?
Wasn't great.
It wasn't great.
Wasn't great. That was at the point too where Brentwood Academy football had not lost a league game in 23 years, from 1974 to 1997. That's quick math. Yeah, 23 years.
That's pretty insane right there. You covering the big game this tonight too, by the way. You want to go ahead and plug that real quick?
Absolutely. We've got Ravenwood and Summit, 2 programs that have been similar in the way that they have grown in Williamson County, and it's kind of cool because Ravenwood won a state championship in 2005. Mm-hmm. They started playing football in 2003.
What?
Yeah. That's what I was saying is that it's easy to forget how recently Ravenwood started playing high school football.
That's a big school, too.
Huge.
I rolled past, like, that is
huge.
For a public school?
Yeah.
Humongous, man.
No doubt. So they are going up against the Summit team. So basically, Ravenwood in 05 beat Oak Ridge in the 5A state title game for their first ever championship.
Yeah.
Kind of new kids on the block, first time really being really good, and they won in 5A against Oak Ridge. Fast forward now to 2020, Summit last year started playing football in 2013. They win the 5A state title last year against Oak Ridge, and they move up to 6A this year. They've won 23 games in a row. They've got a set of twins, Destin and Keaton Wade, who are committed to Kentucky. Chris Parson, quarterback commitment to Florida State from Ravenwood. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, this should be a big game, though. And I'll say this, covering those games with you these past couple, you and Lucas, is fun.
It's really fun.
It takes me back. Like, legitimately, I'm like, God, this is some cool stuff because I think high school football on Friday nights is the epitome of what pure football is. You have no involvement in money. You have kids trying to figure out how good they are. You have a separation of talents. You have also just kids buying into what the game actually is.
Right.
And you also get to see this, too. When a team is better than another team, you see what happens to the emotions of other players, too.
No doubt.
So it's
we saw it all last week.
If y'all can get out and go to a high school football game, I know it's cold, but it's playoff time, and from what I've seen these last couple of weeks with Will and Lucas, you want to be there, man. A lot of history behind it. Just watching who was it, Gallatin and Gallatin and Lebanon that we went to?
Yep.
That game was cool. Gallatin had won their first playoff game, and both of those teams were going up against each other to try to get their first playoff win in over like 5 years.
Been a long time. So, yeah, those are the
time.
two winners in our two games. You had Gallatin and Smyrna in our first game, and then Riverdale, Lebanon last week. It's been really fun.
By the way, seeing the kids that's committed to UT last weekend.
Elijah
Herring.
Yep.
He's nice.
Yeah.
The little brother
Played well.
is
Really
nice.
nice.
Too. Okay.
No doubt.
The coach is always looking over the shoulder. Where's the little brother at? And that's what's
right.
happening. Right. But he's good too.
So, Shafe, I've got to tell on Ramon here for a second.
What?
This was a you're so hurt. Turn around, reach for that knife in your back real quick. So, funny moment on our broadcast last week where Ramon accidentally called Lucas Will at one point, and Lucas just pauses, takes a deep breath, looks at Ramon, and just goes, "I'm gonna start calling you JMart."
He really did.
And it was the best moment, I think, of any of our broadcasts the entire season. It was great.
I was like, Lucas, but you're my guy.
Man, that got personal quick. That escalated quickly.
Brick killed a man.
Brick killed a man.
Might want to lay low for a while.
I know.
It was
Yeah,
great.
Lucas wasn't feeling calling him Will.
Oh, man. It was great.
That's my guy, though.
Absolutely. All right, Ramon, coming up next, we talk with voice of the Titans, Mike Keith. It is alumni weekend, a very special Sunday coming up for the Tennessee Titans as they honor Floyd Reese, Jeff Fisher, plus lots to get into with this matchup against the Houston Texans and two players who are the X factors on either side of the ball who are going to play the same position and decide this game on Sunday. We'll tell you about that. We'll get into Titans and Texans coming up next with voice of the Titans, Mike Keith. It's JMart and Ramon, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. It's 104.5 The Zone.
Baker Birdwell is the disability brokerage that your financial advisors count on to deliver disability income protection, one of the least known about insurance coverages. You might ask yourself this, what is your most valuable asset? And most people are going to answer that question, my house, my home, my place, where I live, my dwelling. Think again, though. It is your income. As a former pro athlete, it wasn't a thought about insuring my income or career, honestly, but the same applies to you as well when you think about it. Have you honestly considered what would happen if you couldn't continue your career due to health or injury? For 2 or 3% of your income, you can insure 60% of your income. This is the point, tax-free. You may know about the short-term and long-term disability plans that your employer may provide you, but with them paying the premium for you, the benefits that you get paid are taxable. Can you live off of 40% of your income and still provide for you and your family? Because after taxes, that's probably what you're going to be left with from your group disability plan, about 40% of your income. Disability insurance is one of the most undersold, underutilized, but most needed products. Baker Birdwell, though, is the best resource for financial advisors and insurance agents. They're a trusted friend working with your trusted advisors, and to be sure that you are properly insured. Think about them. They are local and want to see their community be protected. Have you thought about your yearly income times the 15, 20 years of your life? Your earning potential is not only important to your current family, but it's also important to your future family as well. Have your financial advisor or insurance agent call Baker Birdwell and talk through the many ways to get you insured and compare your current plan to make sure that it is up to date. That's the most important thing. And this is what we've learned all this past year, too. Bad things somehow happen to good people, too. We just want to implore to everyone how important it is to insure your income. Baker Birdwell is here to work with your trusted advisor. You can call the people that I know at 615-309-5958, or you can go to the website right now on your phone at www.bakerbirdwell.com, or email them if you have to at info@bakerbirdwell.com.
JMart and Ramon on 104.5 The Zone. Great to have you with us. Alongside Ramon Foster, I am Will Boling. We are powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. When trust matters, count on All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. Professional garage door installation and repair from a locally owned and family-run business. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com. We are pleased to be joined on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline by voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, as we get ready for a huge Sunday in Nissan Stadium. Titans and Texans coming up on Titans Radio right here on 104.5 The Zone. Mike, great to talk to you. How are you?
Good morning, Will.
Morning to you as well. And I want to start with the festivities going on. Lots of alumni in town. Floyd Reese, Jeff Fisher being honored. Going to be a really special day in Nissan Stadium for the Fisher family, for the Reese family, as the Titans honor their legacy. Really looking forward to seeing the reception that they get, and well-deserved coming up on Sunday.
I think it's going to be a wild scene because the people who are a bit older, who bought the PSLs back in the mid-'90s and remember the start, will be sentimental about the early days of the Titans. And the people your age, Will, who came up with Jeff Fisher and Floyd Reese as the head coach and the general manager that you knew, that you experienced in that time as you started to follow the Titans, and the excitement that people are able to get from those memories, I think it sort of spans everyone. They have a big part of what were the early days of the Titans, whether you were here for the whole thing or whether you grew up in it. It doesn't really make any difference. These two men were huge figures in the whole development, and this is only fitting that it is being done for them both this weekend. And for their families, it's thrilling. It's especially thrilling for the Reese family because we lost Floyd back in late August.
Mike, it's kind of cool, me being a Tennessean, I remember specifically Coach Jeff Fisher more than anything, and just his style on the sideline, the teams he had, and the success that he's had with the Titans, and honestly other teams too. Just if you've had conversations with him about being in the Ring of Honor, and I know a lot of people like to downplay, their careers and whatnot. What has he actually said about this honor to you and what it means to him?
I have not talked with him specifically about it, but I've certainly heard him talk about it. I know he's talked to Coach Mack about it, and the Titans Amy and Coach Mack podcast features Jeff Fisher this week with a lot of thoughts and a lot of memories. I did hear his thoughts when he went in the Tennessee Hall of Fame, and I bet that they're somewhat similar, and that is as you take a step back from what he has done as a coach and that he has stepped out of coaching. I'm not sure he's done coaching, by the way, but as he takes a step back at this point, he can take it all in and he can see what it meant, and he can see what it meant to his sons and to his daughter and the relationships that they had. And Coach Fisher considers himself to be a Tennessean now. Like a lot of people that move here and grow to love it, he is a Tennessean, and so he takes a lot of pride in the start of the Titans and what they became. And the thing about Jeff was, he won games and he lost games, he coached games, and he was the football coach. But let's face it, what he really was is he was our coach. When we thought about the Titans, we thought about Jeff Fisher. If you'll remember when he left, and it was a tough end, but there was nobody calling for his head.
Right.
There was no, even people who thought, well, maybe we should change coaches. Nobody really wanted Coach Fisher to leave because they loved Coach Fisher. He was such a fixture in our community. He meant so much to people as just a human being, and he still does. And I think he feels that now. Again, I haven't talked with him specifically about this honor, but I know how he felt about the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, and I know how he is as a person, and I think he gets what a big deal this is overall, and what a completion this is. I know this, Ramon. When he was back in 2019 for the Colts game for Steve and Eddie's numbers to be retired, he was emotional.
Yeah.
To be back in the stadium, the reception he got when he was introduced at halftime was overwhelming. And I don't think
he knew until then exactly how people felt about him. I think he certainly knows now, and that's going to be one of the more enjoyable parts of this weekend.
And that's the other part of this weekend, too, and how fitting it is that you're playing the Houston Texans, okay? Mike, you know I like a little petty every once in a while, and I'm sure
you like a lot of petty.
But,
that's okay.
And that's good because you're my friend and you get me, okay?
I get you. I do. I totally get it. That's okay. I've got friends like you. Amy Wells is another one like you.
Hey, she's a humble Hendersonville resident like me, okay?
There you go.
But to that point, though, I'm sure it kind of means a little bit considering that's the city that this team comes from. But also is this, they're coming off of a bye, and what other reasons, what other purpose would they serve other than trying to destroy this homecoming this weekend? What's in front of the guys that's on the field Sunday that's got to face the Texans?
They're pretty good on defense.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that really jumps out. The 14 takeaways, the fact that Zach Cunningham is a really good player. Grenard, the pass rusher, is a really good player. They've got some veteran presence in the secondary. I mean, they've got some people on defense. And, when you play a team, this was the whole Jets story. Remember, leading into the Jets week, we talked about, they're pretty formidable on defense. That's what scares you.
Mm-hmm.
Because to be able to just go and beat a team like this, you got to go score, right? I mean, that's what happens is you get ahead of them and then you sort of take care of your business. Well, if they've got a defense, they can make your life miserable and can give their offense a chance to get plays and to get on track. And so for the Titans, it's got to be about developing the run game more, taking care of the football, staying on schedule, because, again, they've done enough things that make you nervous that way. Mm-hmm. And anything Lovie Smith is involved with defensively scares me. I've known Lovie for nearly 30 years. He's a great ball coach. He's a great defensive coach. Offensively, if Tyrod Taylor gets back to being Tyrod Taylor, and that is taking care of the football, then that makes you nervous because, that's his history. He came in here in 2015 and beat us with his legs. He rushed for 76 yards in a 14-13 Buffalo win. He takes care of the football. That's why they wanted him as their quarterback. They're healthier coming off the bye. Listen, the Titans are a solid favorite. They're playing a 1-8 team. I'm not trying to build them up and do the old coach speak type deal. I'm just saying, if you're asking me how they do it, this is how they do it to give the Titans problems. They have that ability. This is what Tennessee cannot play into.
Voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, here with us on JMart and Ramon, brought to you by Farm Bureau Health Plans. Turn to the folks who've been in the game since 1947. Farm Bureau Health Plans offers the great healthcare coverage you need with a price tag you can afford. Mike, for A.J. Brown coming off of last week with the one catch for 16 yards, this is a guy that has been really good against Houston in his career. 27 catches, 447 yards, 16.5 yards per reception, and 5 touchdowns in his career against the Houston Texans. You got to think that is a big point of emphasis this week for Tennessee, getting A.J. Brown more involved against a team that he's enjoyed playing against in the past.
Yes, please. I think we should start right there. That's exactly what we want. You got to get A.J. going. There are two things this team has to get going. They got to get the run game going more in week 3 post Derrick Henry injury, and they've got to get A.J. going because A.J. is going to be a key to the rest of this season. He's one of the most dynamic receivers in the NFL. He is as good as anybody in the league with run after the catch. He's got to be more involved. That's all there is to it. Now, why he wasn't last week, who knows? But the fact of the matter is the Titans have to get him more involved. They have to have more A.J. Brown. And I think he's very motivated. I had a chance to visit with him for just a second at practice yesterday, and let's just say he's more motivated, no doubt.
Well, Mike, what did you make of his comments the other day as well? We talk about the culture and the leadership of the culture this Titans team has in its locker room. I know Rhett and Ramon have been talking about that this morning, and A.J. Brown being a vocal leader and being able to have difficult discussions about mental health is one of the signs to me that this is just a healthy locker room with guys that are willing to speak out about things that really matter to them. And obviously this is something that really matters to A.J. Brown. What did you think about his comments about mental health and the well-documented conversation that he started this week?
Thanks for asking me about that, because I'm really proud to say that in my time with the Titans, I have never been more proud of a Titans player. Wow. Ever. There have been plenty of instances where they've made us proud, and I won't say it's the most because that's unfair. But I will say I've never been more proud because he saved somebody's life with that video. And with the follow-up comments and being as direct as he is, we all know in our own lives people who are going through this, people who have been through this, people who are helping family members or friends through this. And when somebody like A.J. Brown says something, I promise you, there was a man, a woman, a teenager, it doesn't make any difference. There was somebody out there who was on the ledge who heard that and stopped and asked for help. I promise you there was. And that's important. Football, love football. It's big. I mean, it's important. We got to get to 9-2. That's all there is to it. Got it. What he's talking about is real life that affects the whole world and something that has often not been talked about, and it's often not been talked about among young men. And it's what the Jason Foundation is all about, is trying to help with just that very problem. And that's been something that several of our coaches, Coach Fulmer has been involved with, several people around here in various sports have been involved with, is the conversation about young men openly discussing that rather than turning to suicide is vital. It's vital because as a dude, it's not cool to talk about your feelings. That's what a lot of people are taught. That's wrong. That is wrong. You need to talk to somebody. You need to reach out to somebody. And A.J. But this is A.J. Brown. People wear number 11 jerseys, right? He's a Pro Bowler. He's Arthur One. He's a bad man. Because it's him saying it, it gets even more attention. And this wasn't something that he would have done 2 years ago. It's something that he has developed. It's something that he feels comfortable in this culture laying out there for people. So I'm so proud of A.J. Brown and so thankful that he felt the ability, that he felt the comfort to do this, and that he felt being moved to do this in this way. I'm sorry for a long answer, but I'm so glad you asked me about that. Thank you.
Mike, that's awesome. I almost feel like we can just end the interview right now, man.
Okay, good night, everybody. Good night.
No. We got more, but thank you for just putting that the way you did, too, because it's huge. People look at football players like they're gladiators, like you're not supposed to get hurt. A concussion is just in your mind. That broke ankle of yours should heal in 2 weeks. Derrick Henry should be back in 3 weeks. You know, like that's the mentality. And watching a guy like A.J. Brown just expose himself, you got to be proud of that, Mike. As somebody that reports on this team, somebody that loves this team, that probably puts you in a real good space too.
Sure. I have a son who's 22, and I have a daughter who's 27. And these issues are very real. You know, they're very real for people of my age. And for a long time there was a stigma about this. There was certainly a stigma among athletes because we got to be bad, we got to be tough, we got to be gladiators. And to have the ability to come out and say these things, I think it's important for these guys. And again, when somebody like A.J. Brown chooses to do this, I promise you he saved somebody's life. I promise you he did. I don't know who, I don't know where, but somewhere somebody stopped listening to that comment or watching that video and said, I'm going to talk to somebody. It made a difference. I promise you it did.
Mike, I'll throw one name out there as a young guy who was following the league and just, from a distance, but had a guy like Vince Young, had somebody like AJ to talk to. Where'd you see himself being at? Because that was a bunch of his situations and issues that he had going on. It wasn't the on-field stuff. It may be a little bit of that, but imagine if he'd had a teammate do that for him.
Well, that's right. It would have affected his on-field because if he would have had growth opportunities like what AJ has had, he would have grown as a football player because he would have been more of a professional. And the real life issues oftentimes derail the football player because they don't deal with them, and then it carries over. And so, and it does. I mean, it does for everybody. I mean, if you're an insurance agent and you're having big issues, then you're not going to reach your potential as an insurance agent. You've got to deal with this, and that's what AJ's talking about. And you're talking about guys like Vince, who've talked about some of these things at different points. And, we certainly saw some emotional things with him at times. And I think he would tell you, yeah, I wished I'd have had that ability at that time.
Yeah. Real quick, injury list is always long. Do we need to worry about it? Who we're going to have this weekend? I see Nate has got a concussion 2 weeks in a row, man. He might have to sit this one out again. But in general, we'll see who we have on Mike. Mike, is that the way you're looking at it?
I think that's right. I mean, we'll get an idea today based on practice, but then we may not know. I mean, the tough thing for this ball club continues to be a guy goes out and practices on Wednesday and then can't practice on Thursday. Yeah. He tries to go on Wednesday and just can't. He just can't make it. And so then what do you do? What are the Titans going to do at right guard? I think Swaim at tight end going on the injury list yesterday is a real concern. Yeah. I don't know the severity of that, but you have to stop and look at it. In the secondary, you continue to have some concerns, although how great was it to get Christian Fulton back? It looks like there may be more depth at linebacker overall, but you're kind of waiting to see. And then I think the McNichols thing is something to watch. McNichols has been a guy that they've just said, okay, you're the third down back, you go play. It's been the one thing in the backfield that they haven't had to worry about. They've had to worry about fullbacks. They've had to worry about Derrick Henry being out. They haven't had to worry about McNichols. He just played.
Right.
Well, I mean, he plays such a vital role in what they do, and not just in catching passes, but the reason he got that role in the first place, Ramon, is he's an excellent pass protector against blitz. He's better at it than Derrick, which is why they put him out there. And that's a skill, knowing where to go. It's not about just being willing to hit somebody. Derrick's willing to hit somebody. We know that. It's about picking up the right guy. It's about feel. It's a whole thing. It's like being an excellent middle reliever in baseball. It's a specific skill. And if Jeremy can't go, who do you turn to there?
No doubt about it. We will be anxiously awaiting that report today as we get more hints on who will be available on Sunday. Always good to catch up with voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, brought to you by Farm Bureau Health Plans. You can plan on Farm Bureau Health Plans for better coverage, better rates, and better customer service. They've been providing Tennesseans with the home field advantage for almost 75 years. Looking forward to a fun day in Nissan Stadium, honoring Floyd Reese, honoring Jeff Fisher. Great to catch up with you, Mike. Appreciate the time.
Thanks, guys.
Blast the ludicrous, Mike.
I love it. All right, when we come back, I'm going to be exposed. Celebrity birthdays.
Phrasing.
Coming up next. You guys think Ramon Foster doesn't know actors or actresses or celebrities? Just wait until you hear how
it's Team Will versus Team Ramon.
Yeah, just like if we went and battled on the football field, Team Will's got no shot.
Did he get nervous?
Team Will, I'm putting. Please bet Team Will at +20. Coming up next, it's JMart and Ramon, powered by All Four Seasons. It's 104.5 The Zone.
This shy ain't no joke.
JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Alongside Ramon Foster, Will Boling, sitting in for JMart. Rhett Bryan running the first 2 legs of this relay. I'll take you home for the final 2.
I've always been a distance guy, never been a speed guy.
We love it. I really, yeah.
No, I faked you out. I didn't play.
So Jonathan Schaefer gets a demerit for faking out on a.
Not on the 5-2 slow. I know he's going to do it.
5 too slow.
There you go. On that.
There's 60 buttons here. What do you want from me?
I heard Rhett Bryan say, hit the right ones. I heard Rhett Bryan say earlier, wish you could see Jonathan Schaefer's dance moves.
They're terrible.
Back in the studio. It really is great.
This is probably one of her only songs I really know that is her song.
Oh, gosh.
Still
So
don't even know the name
Taylor
of it.
Swift for me as a kid was the artist that you're not
Calm
supposed
down.
to like, but actually liked.
But everybody likes it.
So when Love Story and You Belong With Me came out, I was the too cool for school middle schooler.
Mhm.
Like, no, I don't like that Taylor Swift stuff. And I'm going home of like, it's a love story.
Stupid.
I love it. Powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors here on 104.5 The Zone. All right, it's time for some birthdays. And it's time for me to be brutally exposed for knowing nothing about celebrities.
Shay's quizzing us.
Yeah, I think we're going to do like
Come
8
on,
or
Will.
9 today. Yeah. So I'm going to ask
Here we go.
both of y'all because you both are going to stink at this.
Breathe, okay?
Really bad.
Okay.
Whew. All right, here we go.
I just want to get one.
Feel like
Today, Meg Ryan. Who is Meg Ryan and what does she do?
the daughter from Family Guy. No,
That's the voice of Mila Kunis.
Mila Kunis.
Who does that of Meg.
Why don't I know any of her movies?
Shut up, Meg.
I know
Meg
of her.
Ryan.
Shut up,
Meg Ryan.
Could not tell you a single movie.
Meg
Was she on-
Ryan.
Was she on SNL?
I hate all of you right now.
Meg Ryan.
Meg Ryan. Come on, Moan.
I have no clue.
Come
what
on.
movie she-
Moan.
Independence Day.
No.
No. Will, really? Nothing?
Meg Ryan.
Was she an SNL cast member?
I don't think so. Actress, 60 years old.
She's 60?
She's 60?
Yeah, believe that. Sleepless in Seattle.
Oh,
Top
okay.
Gun.
I watched that movie.
When
actually.
Harry Met Sally, of course, the iconic scene in When Harry Met Sally. All right, we'll look that up during the break, not on a work computer.
No, I love the Sleepless in Seattle. There's a How I Met Your Mother joke about that, where Barney Stinson walks up to girls on top of the Empire State Building and just says, he's not coming.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to spin the microphone over to Lucas because he actually got the line right. Lucas, tell him the line from that scene.
I'll have what she's having.
Yes, that's the end of that scene where she has
Ramon, that's
completed a
Lucas.
task.
I'm Will. That's Lucas.
That's
I'll
right.
fight both of y'all after this show.
Jodie Foster.
Jodie Foster.
Jodie
Is that
Foster.
a guy or a girl?
No, it's
Oh
a girl.
my God.
Jodie Foster.
Oh my God.
G.I. Jane. No, I know what she's in. God, I know who Jodie Foster is. I just can't reel off her movies right now.
5 too slow.
Will, come on,
Really
man.
loved her in Steel Magnolias.
Lucas.
No,
Lucas, go ahead.
Taxi driver.
Taxi Driver.
Is
Well,
that
that
a-
was
Is
one
that
of
a
the
character
really
name
early
or is
roles.
that a movie?
That's a movie.
Okay.
Silence
What
of the
else?
Lambs.
She was in Silence of the Lambs?
Yes.
Yeah,
Jodie
I just
Foster.
have silence
She got
about
my
that movie
last
in my
name.
head.
I should know every Foster.
This is the worst.
We're only 2 in. too.
Allison Janney.
Who's that?
Titanic. We're sinking.
Lucas, do you know?
like,
No, Lucas checks out on this one. Allison Janney in the show Mom
Oh.
was also in The West Wing. Also in
okay.
the Howard Stern Private Parts movie. She's been in a ton of stuff.
Howard Stern
Golden
Private
Globe.
Parts.
Well, yeah, that was a very successful movie. Adam Driver. You have to get Adam Driver.
Adam Driver.
I'm more familiar with. I'm more familiar with Donald Driver.
Lucas, you know who Adam Driver is? All right, Lucas, go ahead.
Star Wars. New Star Wars.
Kylo Ren.
I've never seen
Adam
Star
Driver.
Wars. Have not seen a second of a single Star
This
Wars
is
movie.
the
Well, I'm
worst.
so-
The worst we've ever had.
See, I'm
All
not
right,
alone.
Now you have to get this one.
I'm probably
come
not
on.
going to.
Have to get. It's sports related.
Okay.
Ahmad Rashad.
Hey,
There you
Felicia
go.
Rashad, husband, ex-husband, by the way. Michael Jordan's homeboy.
Yeah.
HBO.
And NBA
Okay.
analyst.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Come on,
okay.
man.
I'm with you.
Y'all got that one.
Hey. Will.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
I'm the one that
Okay.
answered all of it, though.
Hey, what?
That's true.
I
That's
knew it.
true.
It's
Ramon
HBO
did
guy.
answer all of that.
I'm getting
That's
my
right.
point.
But Ramon,
Yeah, no, come on.
Yeah.
72.
I know that because of The Last Dance. Let's be honest.
72, by the way. Okay. Well, all right. You got that right.
72?
Ann Curry.
I got this one.
Go
Today
ahead.
Show. OG
Today Show?
Today Show.
For real?
Yeah.
She a host?
Yeah.
She was.
The news host on the Today Show.
All right. You got that one.
Go.
Is there a movie?
I'm hot.
This you're not. This one is Nashville related. Billy Currington. His birthday is today.
If I fall. Yeah, let me down easy.
And you did not let us down.
God is great, beer is good, and people are crazy.
That's a great song.
Hey,
Country
now,
singer Billy
Will.
Currington. So Will on a roll right now.
He is.
And this one, Lil Mo.
Lamo, Bad Boys.
Lil Mo.
Yeah,
Rapper,
female
Lil Mo.
rapper. No, yeah, Lil Mo was.
That's a
with-
female.
She's a female rapper. Yeah, 90s
honestly
female
don't know.
rapper.
I actually don't know that one.
I get more familiar with Mo Couch, University of Tennessee.
Let me see if there's anyone else or
Yeah,
you
Lil
guys.
Mo.
Erica Alexander, Ramon.
Nope.
Erica Alexander.
Yeah. I don't know the character name.
I ain't got a clue.
Living Single and The Cosby Show.
Which one was she? Who
I'd have
was
to
she?
look it up. I don't remember. They'll tell you in the chat here in like 2 minutes.
Oh man.
But yeah, this started very badly.
I've got Let Me Down Easy in my head.
So
That's a great
the
song.
winner of today's birthdays is Lucas Pansy.
Lucas, you ain't even supposed to be in here. What's wrong with you, man?
My goodness.
Still
All right.
not
Third quarter is done. 4's up everywhere across Middle Tennessee. We've got one final hour coming up.
Come on,
Pin
Vols,
Troupe,
four's up.
former Tennessee Titans tight end, coming up around the corner at 9:20. One final hour to get you that much closer to your weekend. It's JMart and Ramon on 104.5 The Zone.
Fourth quarter. Selling your home in Nashville, it can be hard at times. And let me tell you why. You list it and you have showing after showing after showing. And the dreaded open house. And who really knows who's coming in and out of your house anyway? Hey, it's Ramon Foster. Do what I did. Go to opendoor.com/myoffer. Put in your address, add a few interesting details about your home, and you will get an offer back in minutes. An all-cash offer, a real all-cash offer. Avoid the hassles and hurdles and all of the unknowns of a traditional listing. At Open Door, you can do it all online. No listening, no strangers, and no stress. Get your offer and you can decide when you want to close. Make Open Door a new tradition for selling your home. And it's so easy. Simply go to opendoor.com/myoffer and just take a few minutes to answer the questions, and you get all of the good parts and skip all of the hard parts that give you a headache. Open Door is represented by Open Door Brokerage LLC. And you will be delighted at how fast your offer will be and how safe and easy the whole process is. Offer eligibility varies. Opendoor.com/myoffer. That's the place. That's opendoor.com/myoffer. Visit today.
9:03, good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. Thursday Night Football, the New England Patriots thrashed the Atlanta Falcons 25-0. Pats won their 5th straight. They intercepted 4 Atlanta Falcons passes. They will also be the Titans' opponent coming up 2 Sundays from now. New England will be. The Titans will try to extend their league best winning streak to 7 games this Sunday when they host the 1-8 Houston Texans. League Company countdown to kickoff set for 9 a.m. Kickoff at noon with Titans Radio. Mike Keith, Dave McGinnis on the call. Also, former Titans coach Jeff Fisher, former general manager Floyd Reese will be inducted into the team's Ring of Honor. Doubleheader of Vols action coming up tomorrow. Number 5 Villanova against number 17 Tennessee. Rick Barnes' Vols, part of the Hall of Fame tip-off tournament in Connecticut. Tip-off is at noon here on The Zone. Also, South Alabama at Tennessee, as the Vols will be home in Neyland Stadium. Kickoff at 6:30. Vol Network coverage begins at 5. Tennessee Tailgate Show at 4 o'clock with Will Boling and Ron Slay. Also a chance of Tennessee basketball coming up on Sunday, depending upon how they do against Villanova. They'll play either North Carolina or Purdue in the second part of that tournament. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Four's up. Final quarter of the program of the week. It is JMart and Ramon, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. When trust matters, count on All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. Professional garage door installation and repair from a locally owned and family-run business. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com. Alongside Ramon Foster, I am Will Boling, sitting in for Jason Martin.
Yeah.
Rhett Bryan, doing tremendous work as always, leading off the show for the first 2 hours here today. Former Titans tight end Ben Troupe coming up here in about 15 minutes as we get his thoughts on alumni weekend for the Titans and much more. Fun show.
Yeah. That first hour went quick with you, Will.
Both these segments suck.
What are we?
That's about what I expected. I was today years old when I learned that half of those celebrities were human beings in celebrity birthdays. I didn't completely embarrass myself, though.
How did you lose to Lucas Panzica?
Yeah.
No, Lucas wasn't even trying.
Lucas is a well-traveled, cultured young man.
He just came into the control room to ask a question. All of a sudden, he wins the whole game.
So we stealing knowledge from you and then dog us out like that. What's wrong with Lucas?
We've got our Toyota keys to the game coming up for the Titans for Tennessee. Tennessee basketball's got a big one coming up tomorrow. Vols and Villanova. Been talking to Ron Slay about this one for a couple weeks, and most of my friends I graduated with texted me this week. They're like, wait, we play Villanova this week? Yeah, you do.
Well, that's kind of like Thanksgiving. That's next week.
All right.
True.
That's
By
a
the
good
way,
point.
if you hadn't got a turkey yet, go get you one.
Really?
Yeah. By the way, they're either like super big,
really,
like monstrous
Phrasing,
or you can't find them.
Phrasing.
I love how conditioned Ramon is at this point to just continue with what he's saying as the other calamity in this show just continues on.
Well, you gotta adjust, baby. That's how you stick around.
Sudden change situation. Sudden change. Your defense just got to turn over for you. Now you got to run on the field and block somebody.
And it breaks you every time. You just die.
You got to go block Ray Lewis now. Sudden change.
That's sudden change.
Oh, goodness.
Okay, you brought it up, Tanner. The basketballs, man, playing against number 5 Villanova. They're 2-1 and Tennessee is 2-0. What are you getting from this, man? Is it too early to say?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to learn what you got pretty quick.
Okay.
I think a lot of Tennessee fans, too, this has snuck up on them because football's exceeded expectations.
Yeah.
Usually by the time Tennessee loses to Florida, everyone's like, all right, so when's the first basketball game? When's the Lenore Ryan scrimmage?
Or salivating over the baseball coach.
Right.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that changed things as well for Tennessee, too. Yeah. The fact that basketball isn't their only saving grace anymore.
Yeah.
The fact that they had a baseball run and they can, pay attention to the orange and white fall World Series, which I think 90% of Tennessee fans didn't know existed until this past year. Stuff like that has helped basketball kind of sneak up on you. But, I mean, I'll tell you what, this team, and talking to Slay about it, we've been talking about this since really the beginning of the offseason. It's the most balanced team Rick Barnes has ever had at Tennessee. I think as people introduce themselves to Tennessee basketball over the course of this weekend and Thanksgiving, as is the custom for most SEC programs not named Kentucky, you're going to find a group that is more balanced inside and out than it was last season. And Ramon, you know this as well from your time at Tennessee and from my time there. The Vols never have a true point guard ever.
No.
I mean, Bobby Mays, Ramar Smith, Jordan Bone is pretty much it over the last 15 years of Tennessee college basketball.
Ron might say, well, you're right, 15 years or so. Yeah, Ron probably has one or two in the mix too. But, yeah, to that point of like, yeah, that's the guy.
You got two this year. You don't just have one.
Yeah.
So Tennessee, I mean, obviously people know about Kennedy Chandler. And Zakai Ziegler is a name to remember. 5'9" kid from the Bronx who is going back home to play this weekend. He is going to be the fan favorite of this team, I think.
Straight up.
5'9" guy who Rick Barnes said this past week, he is going to fight you. He uses his size. He knows he's got to play harder than everyone else because he's smaller than everybody else on the floor. Last time Tennessee had a backup point guard that was a point guard, they made the Sweet 16 with Darius Thompson as their backup point guard. The Jarnell Stokes block charge against Michigan in the Sweet 16. I think people are going to really enjoy watching that team play. So I think a lot of Tennessee fans are as interested in that as they are Tennessee's chance to get bowl eligible tomorrow against South Alabama, a team that would be a much bigger threat if they had Jake Bentley, the former South Carolina quarterback, who's working his way back from injury and is not going to play in this game. But I think people are as interested in that as they are what is going on the football field tomorrow.
It's so interesting looking at the Zakai Ziegler kid, too, man. You mentioned he's 5'9". That means he's got to be dynamic when it comes to his skill set on the court. Right. And that's something right there. When you were running up and down that court with guys that are 6'9", heck, people in your position are 6'3", 6'4". That says a whole lot about what Rick Barnes has done to get depth, man. And Will, you brought up the point guard, of course. Kennedy Chandler.
He's so good.
If and I saw somebody tweet this. I don't remember who it was, so I can't give proper credit to them. But the quote was, if you want to go see what a first-round lottery pick look like, do it because he won't be in Knoxville next year.
That's right.
He's that good.
He is.
I know some people that know him real close in West Tennessee also because he's a Memphis kid.
Yep.
And truth be told, they didn't even know he was that good either. And I was telling them, I was just like, yeah, no, he nice. And I called Ron on the spot. I was like, Ron, didn't you mention this Kennedy Chandler kid? He was like, cold, Mo. You know how Ron to talk. Cold, Mo. I'm like, really? I'm like, you tell him that. He's like, man, this kid is lottery. This kid is good. He can do a lot of good things for this University of Tennessee basketball team. So going up against Villanova, of course, they are ranked 5. They lost to UCLA in overtime,
good
too.
Game.
They lost to them in overtime. This is a good measuring stick for when it comes down to where they're going to be and how, honestly, Rick Barnes is going to coach this team against them.
No doubt about it. And Kennedy Chandler, the SEC Freshman of the Week, after averaging 18 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 rebounds per game last week, he shot 68% from the field and 88% from 3 last week against ETSU and UT Martin. That's a guy that Tennessee fans are really excited to see and really excited to hear right here at 104.5 The Zone. Of course, Fall Network coverage as well. Right at the beginning of our Tennessee Saturday with me and Slay for the Tennessee Tailgate Show 4 to 5. And then, of course, Tennessee and South Alabama with Vol Network coverage starting at 5 o'clock coming up tomorrow night here on 104.5 The Zone. I never know what day it is at this point, Ramon. I think we've gotten to the point where the schedule is there football being played? And then it's yes or no. And it's okay, so it's either one of these 5 days or one of these 2 days.
Yeah.
That's the point we are at this point.
Yeah, it really is.
Is that there are 5 days in the week with football and there are 2 without it.
By the way, my resources also text me too. My resources Ron Slay. By the way, he said this about Kennedy Chandler. The biggest thing with Chandler is he's efficient.
Yeah.
He's efficient, and he also said Justin Powell is also your sleeper when it comes down to the Vols team.
That team has 4 players that can play point guard. Victor Bailey, Justin Powell. 5. Victor Bailey, Justin Powell, Santiago Vescovi, Kennedy Chandler, and Zakai Ziegler.
Okay, so to win in the SEC, is that what you need more of? Point guard play to be able to get you down the stretch, create for guys that's on the court? Is that what we're looking? Because Alabama's nice.
Yeah.
Kentucky look like they've reloaded.
They have.
Florida always comes correct also. And then
Right.
you got Bruce Pearl down in Auburn, too. And I'm sure I'm missing 1 and 2. I would say Vandy, but that –
They scored they scored as much as football does against FCS opponents the other night in a basketball game.
had more fans there, too. But I'll fall back. Let me stop.
Stop it.
That's the reason I'm
Ramon,
trying to get
Ramon, these people
I'm
have
trying to get
families,
Chris up
Ramon.
here. My
Stop
bad.
it. Come
I
on.
need more class.
Come on.
Need more class.
Oh, man.
But yeah, it's this. You bring up the point guard play though, Will.
How
and
deep I gotta dig for you to pipe down?
You got him off guard on that
I was
one.
about to get calls. We're coming up on this break, man. I was about to start going in because we're talking Vols, and I got my VFL brother in here with me. We're getting a little too close right there, Shay.
Hurts.
One more time. I just like
Jalen Hurts.
How deep I gotta dig for you to pipe down?
I love it.
Andy fans telling us that right now. Pipe down.
Both of them. All right, coming up next, we talk with former Tennessee Titans tight end Ben Troupe. Alumni weekend here in Nashville at Nissan Stadium as the Titans honor Jeff Fisher, the late, great Floyd Reese as well. We'll get his thoughts on that. Take a trip around college football as well. Got a lot to cover with Ben. Not long left in the show today. Your weekend, right around the corner. We'll get you a little bit closer. Coming up next on 104.5 The Zone.
The holiday season is coming up as well. It's pretty much already here. So that means a lot of people will probably be looking for cars as gifts, going into the new year, just probably trying to find something for yourself. And I'll tell you this, if you've been looking, you know this to be true. You don't know how much you're going to get for your car if you trade it in, and you don't know how much the cars you're going to buy are. But I know a group of people who will help you out, and that's going to Edmunds.com. Buying a car is a major financial commitment, and it's often an overwhelming process. Edmunds has been here taking the stress out of the entire car shopping process for over 50 years, and they have been keeping track of everything happening in the market to help you shop with confidence. Again, I told you, Edmunds is the place to where you can do everything you need to. And finding a way to get the most out of your car from the people you're trying to sell it to and get the best price for the car that you're looking to buy. Edmunds has all the tools in one place for you to get the best competitive offer for you. For over 50 years, Edmunds has been giving advice and price guidance all in one place. Edmunds give you the resources for every part of this process of buying or selling your car. Also, you can use their online tools to build your budget and calculate your financing options. They will ensure any listing is a fair deal with built-in deal ratings also. You can get a free online appraisal under 1 minute with options for a real cash offer from a participating dealership. No personal information required. You can spend less time stressing at the dealerships and get the most of the car shopping done even before you even leave your house. Once you know how much your trade-in is worth, you can set your budget and start searching for a new or used vehicle near you. Car shopping can be stressful. Edmunds is here to help. Visit Edmunds.com to get your free online appraisal today and start searching for vehicles in your area. That's EDMUNDS.com for cars. There's Edmunds. And thank you to Edmunds for sponsoring JMart and Ramon.
It is a T-Swift Friday as well as a Football Friday. Here on JMart and Ramon, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Alongside Ramon Foster, I'm Will Boling. Jonathan Schaefer, our producer. Glad to have you with us to get you a little bit closer to your weekend. And we are pleased to be joined by former Titan Ben Troupe, joining us on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline with ESPN Coastal on the radio on 3 and Out. Ben, how are you?
I'm good, man. Thank you guys for having me.
Morning, Ben. You Florida Gator, you.
Hey, Ramon, man. Listen, we brothers right now, man. But I heard what you said when we got beat by South Carolina. No Florida Gator do not taste like chicken. I took offense to that, but you a brother, so listen. If we lose, I got to deal with what comes with it.
Ben, hey, man. Look, we had a great conversation the other day, man. I appreciate you inviting me on. And now that we're friends, we're homies. Look, we got to go take jabs at each other now. So when it comes down to Florida Gators tasting like chicken, I mean, that made sense to me and Will and the Ron Slade. What are you going to do about it, Ben?
Hey, I can't, listen. I can't do nothing about it. Whenever we lose, because I'm a trash talker regardless. I don't think trash talking should be based on wins and losses. But I was like, dang, man. I said, I'm going through. Ain't too many people going to make me feel a certain way. I look at yours. I'm going. And when you say, I guess Florida Gators do taste like chicken, I say, you know what? I got to take that because we didn't get beat. We got the brakes beat off of us. So, hey, man. To the victor goes the spoil. I got to get those Gamecocks. They just do.
Hey, man, I appreciate.
Hey, I'll tell you what. This is probably the one thing that was similar between me and Ramon's time as athletes at Tennessee, from a walk-on the cross-country team to a guy that actually did something with his career and played on the football field. We got to eat that gator too when the football played Florida that week, and that was a highlight of the year for all the athletes. So can confirm.
But I mean, I think at the end of the day, though, fellas, man, you know, football brings us together in a different type way. I think we all got one thing in common. We hope to God that them Georgia Bulldogs find a way to lose and not win the national championship, because I could not live in a world where Georgia is a national champion.
Hey, look, I said this last week, and I actually got some flack on this for Twitter saying, so one of my friends, Eric Kane, good friend of the show, said last week that he was walking down to the press conference after Tennessee-Georgia and got barked at by 3 adults. And I tweeted out and I said, this is one thing that 13 SEC fan bases can agree on. This is not normal. It's the unifying factor of the SEC, isn't it, Ben?
It is. And the thing about it is, look, Kirby Smart is doing an incredible job.
Yeah.
Georgia is not even arguing. They are the best team in the country. But grown people barking at each other, that isn't normal. I don't care how they feel about it. I don't care that they spell dog, D-A-W-G. Uga is the most pampered dog in the world. I still think Smokey is a better mascot than Uga. Not because he's not a bulldog, but because that's exactly why. Because Uga, to me, is a dog that people think, oh, he's this, he's that. No, Uga showed some athleticism a couple of years ago when the big gigantic when Bevo came at him with the Texas Longhorn. But other than that, I don't want Georgia winning. You can't tell that Georgia hasn't won, but oh my God, if they do win, may God help us all.
I know, but this is the thing. We did some preseason stuff, man, early on when college football kicked off, and I know you in Georgia and you covered them. You got to talk about them and everything else in the sports world too. But you're in Georgia, where they at? I'll say this, and the reason people are so high on them, and rightfully so, is they are one of, I think, only 2 organizations in college football that hasn't actually had a dead spell. It's them and Ohio State when you think about it. Ohio State, I think, had 1 year. I don't even know if Georgia had a bad year at all as far as being like way under 500. So, but the thing is also, though, Ben, is the fact that they hadn't actually won a natty in a long time with all of that success. So that's why they're over the top right now.
They are, but the thing about it too, Ramon, you got to think about it like this. If we're judging Georgia on what Georgia is capable of doing, they've more than underachieved. People forget this about Kirby Smart. I realize now he loses a game, 1 game a year, maybe 2 games a year. His first year at Georgia, he lost to Vandy, he lost to Tennessee, he lost to Ole Miss, he lost to Florida, he lost to Kentucky, but people live in the present, so I get it. If Georgia doesn't go out there and win it all, this season is a waste. I don't care how great that defense is, which is one of the best defenses I've ever seen. Yeah. But if we are judging Georgia off because before the season started, 8 teams, maybe 9 teams got a shot to win it all, regardless of conference, regardless G5, P5. And Georgia's one of those teams. if they don't win it this year, it's going to take the air out of their sail in a way because you haven't seen a team this good, even not taking nothing away from that 2017 team. So if we judging Georgia on what we're supposed to judge them on, they haven't been seen from or heard from since 1980.
Wow. It's unbelievable. That's the one thing that a lot of SEC fan bases have been clinging to when it comes to trash-talking Georgia fans. You just have to respond 1980. Yeah. That's all you got to say, and that might be on the way out. Interesting, Ben, looking at the SEC championship between Georgia and Alabama, and the last time Bama was an underdog, I believe, against an SEC East team was that game where Georgia put on the black jerseys and they got crushed by an Alabama team, I believe led by Julio Jones at the time, in what seems like an eternity ago. Fascinating matchup, but Ben, until I see Alabama lose under Nick Saban in the SEC championship against one of his assistants, I'm just not going to pick it to happen until I see it happen, kind of like Tennessee winning down in the swamp. Kind of the same feeling I have about that. What do you make of that game? It's already one that we're all putting on our calendars and looking forward to.
I think the Nick Saban and Alabama, if this year is a year like no other, because they aren't really being talked about, right? Since they lost to Texas A&M, ain't nobody really been talking about it. Bryce Young is still, I think, my Heisman front runner, a guy that's flat out getting it done right now. When you look at the legacy he's trying to uphold, but I agree. If Georgia goes to the game undefeated, if they don't need the game to get in, but you want to still have a good showing because Alabama's the type of team to where they're going to expose your biggest weakness. Now, Georgia don't have a lot of weaknesses on defense,
right?
But this offense is doing it without running the football. That's been, he's playing efficient, not good, not great. So yes, I think Alabama is. Me personally, when Alabama lost Texas A&M, I said they just won the national championship. They're not going to lose again now. And Nick Saban already proved he can lose to a guy that came under that Nick Saban coaching tree with Jimbo Fisher. But I agree, man, Alabama is a very, very dangerous team. But for me, Alabama is dangerous to Georgia. But if Georgia does lose and they go from number 1 to maybe number 2 and end up having to play like Ohio State, that's a really, really bad matchup for an offense that I don't know can score points with another good offense.
Wow, yeah. That makes sense, Ben. If you could, let's transition over a little bit, man, to the NFL side of things too. The Tennessee Titans have a huge weekend this weekend, man. Former GM and Titans great Floyd Reese and also Jeff Fisher both will be going into the Titans Ring of Honor, man. That is and I know you know this to be true. When you walk into stadiums and you see, let's say, names going across the stadium, you're like, man, there's Warren Moon. Or you go to a different stadium and you see somebody else up there, you're like, wow, this is some cool stuff. What does that mean for you to know those guys and the fact that they're going into the Ring of Honor also?
Man, just well overdue. Floyd Reese is a guy that's near and dear to me. Obviously, a guy that drafted me in 2004. May he rest in peace. Me and Floyd Reese, man, Floyd Reese never treated me like an employee. He treated me like a friend, man. And I know that's not something that happens in the National Football League. We never talked about football. We talked about our love of cars, just how much we loved our family. And obviously, Jeff Fisher saw enough to get a country boy like me, their second their second round pick in 2004, the first overall by the team in 2004. So when I think of Tennessee Titans, when I think of the Titans, I think of certain people. I think of Bruce Matthews. I think of Eddie George. I think of Steve McNair. I think of Jeff Fisher. I think of Javon Curse. And I think of Floyd Reese. So I think those two guys, I'm surprised they just not going in. I think we wait too long. Man, give people flowers while they can smell them.
Yes, sir.
You can't. The Tennessee Titans organization would not be what it was without Steve McNair, Eddie George, Jeff Fisher, and Floyd Reese. Those I'm happy that both of those guys going in, and I owe nothing but a lot of gratitude to both of those men.
Well, Ben, it's cool, too, because not a lot of teams in the NFL can say that they are playing the same brand of football in 2021 as they were when you were drafted in 2004. But the Titans are probably one of those only teams that can say that the culture and the style of football that has always been the Titans' way is still what they're playing in 2021. The Titans have a chance to have their first straight streak of 6 straight winning seasons since 1987 to 1993 with a win on Sunday against the Houston Texans. How cool is it for you as a Titan alum on the same day where you're honoring Jeff Fisher and the late, great Floyd Reese to see a team that is playing a similar brand and a similar style to what Floyd Reese and Jeff Fisher made the Titans just over a decade ago?
I think it shows that Mike Vrabel is a guy that understands history. He went back and said, when were the Titans at their best? Is when they running the football. The Titans have a rich tradition. Yes, they came up a yard short, in the Super Bowl against the greatest show on turf. But when you think about it, it's only one team in the National Football League that's had two 2,000-yard rushers. And when you think about CJ2, when you think about Chris Johnson, and you look at what Derrick Henry's doing, and Ada George, I don't know why he hasn't been inducted to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Tennessee is a great place to play football, man. Look, it ain't the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? It ain't the Green Bay Packers. Right? I'm not kidding myself. It ain't the Dallas Cowboys. But when you think about a team that started in Houston, that came to Tennessee, that still do Titans Caravan, that's still trying to fight and claw to stay relevant in the league, hey, man, I give nothing but credit to those guys. And Mike Vrabel, he is one of the best coaches in the National Football League because of how he coaches. But he understands that when you in the AFC South with four teams that don't got the prestige as other conferences, hey, man, Tennessee is leading the way right now. And to still be where they are without Derrick Henry proves that the culture in Tennessee is bigger than just one player.
Former Titans tight end Ben Troupe with us here on 104.5 The Zone. Ben, talking about Jeff Fisher specifically and the way that he kind of made a culture in that locker room, how quickly did you know what the locker room culture was like? Was there kind of a moment or a conversation where you felt like, okay, this is a place that I want to be. This is a place where these guys know what they're doing?
Jeff Fisher, it's something when you play the game and then you transition to coaching. He understands. I mean, USC was on that 85 Bears team. He understands players. And it's one thing to coach players. It's another thing to have been one and you understand them. Man, it's times to where my body is done. I come to training camp. I say, I ain't got nothing left. Jeff Fisher said, hey, man, let's jump on the bus. We finna go out to the lake, man, and just kick it. It's like he understands. And he treats me like a grown man. I was a young man, but he treated me like a grown man. He was honest and he was transparent. One thing that people don't know about Jeff Fisher was my mother and my father, they was going through some tough times when I was with the Titans, and my father was going through drug addiction, and my father is in Swainsboro. I am in Nashville. I go in the office after hours. I tell Jeff Fisher, I need you to help me and my mom. He got on the phone. He got Swainsboro PD to come pick my dad up. Wow. He's a real one. Jeff Fisher, to me, he's a real one because he didn't have my personal problems ain't his personal business, but he made it that. So when I look at Jeff Fisher, I respect the man and the coach, but I got a chance to know the man first, so I appreciate that, man.
Man, that hit me.
That's awesome.
I can't even front. That is major because you don't have those type of personal relationships because it is a business, man. And Ben, on that same topic, man, I'm sure you've seen it because you follow the team too, but this week, man, I'll say this too. Today is Men's International Day. Okay, just got to throw that out there. If you want to go lotion your legs with some orange peels and put some juices and berries in your hair, treat yourself. Okay, it's a Friday. We're gonna play some Sir Charles. You feel me? It's Men's International Day. But to that point, we had a caller call in earlier. I'll give credit. I think it was Joey. I think that called in earlier, and he said it's Men's International Day. But he brought up the point that. Look, we got to focus on as men's, our mentals, you know what I'm saying, how we deal with depression. And there's a guy in A.J. Brown that opened up this week about that. And, Ben, you played in a rougher, tougher league than I did at the time when you came in. Heck, it was still Reebok was the uniform, okay? But it was hard. It was 2-a-days. It was a bunch of guys that had to figure out on their own what they were going to do. You inherit a whole lot of money because, the business allows that to happen, and there's a bunch of things that balance and just life that gets in the way. For a guy like AJ to open up like that, I'm sure you played with some guys that needed a guy like him to open up like this. What does that mean for him, and how would that actually have helped some of the guys that you played with when you were in the league?
It would have helped when I was in the league tremendously. But like you said, Ramon, the league wasn't that yet. It wasn't ready for that yet. But what A.J. Brown did, and he don't even realize he did it, he proved that, look, man, we're people first. Like, I know it's hard for people to think that, wait a minute, millionaires deal with depression, anxiety, but he didn't talk about depression and anxiety. He talked about what he was going to do to himself a year ago. That's strength, man. And I know we play a very, 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 very masculine sport. And we don't play a contact sport. It's a collision sport. But for what AJ did, AJ is saying, look, man, I'm not going to wait to get out of my league because right now I have influence. I'm going to use this platform while I have it. And I guarantee you this. He saved so many lives when he did that because he's a hero to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. A.J. Brown proved I'm a better person than I am an athlete, which is hard to say because the man is incredible as a player. I think sometimes, Ramon, we don't give these guys enough credit for giving them the courage to do it. LeBron James, I credit this man for being the greatest at player empowerment because he's letting guys know, hey, dude, you better tell the truth right now because while everybody's listening, you better use it because when you know how it is, Ramon, when you leave, there are no ESPN one-day contracts. Hey, man, I'm done. You move on to the next thing. So I applaud AJ. The man he is wise beyond his years because to be that young, trying to figure out life while also trying to figure out, do I want to still live? I applaud that, man. I hope to meet him one day, man. I'm going to shake his hand and tell him, hey, man, you a hero without a cape, man, and I applaud you, young man.
That's tough.
This is good stuff, man.
It is,
It flew by. We covered a little bit of everything here with former Titans tight end Ben Troupe here on 104.5 The Zone. Ben, thanks so much for the time. You can follow him on Twitter at BenTroupe84. This was awesome. Don't be a stranger, my friend.
Please don't.
Appreciate it. I'm about to go get that orange peel massage right now.
I love it. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right, Ben Troupe with us. Man, I tell you what, the range of this show today, let's pat ourselves on the back just for a minute.
Just a little bit.
We can cover the tough stuff. We can do celebrity birthdays. It's nice to be able to have these kinds of conversations with guys and just be real, right?
Play some Taylor Swift.
That's
all we did.
Come on with that, Shay.
Play some Drake. You know what I'm saying? Like, we did everything today. What didn't we do today?
Get you a show that does both.
I like it.
Get you a show that does both. All right. Coming up next, our Toyota keys to the game, Titans and Texans, a little bit of Tennessee and South Alabama. We'll get you a little bit closer to that end of your week. One final segment coming up next. It's JMart and Ramon on 104.5 The Zone. One final segment here on 104.5 The Zone. Fun show. Special thanks to voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, former Titans tight end Ben Troupe, Rhett Bryan taking the first 2 hours. I'm coming in after the halftime show to finish the thing off. Been fun.
Phrasing.
Alongside Ramon Foster, Will
Phrasing.
Boling, Jonathan Schaefer, our producer. Toyota keys to the game coming up for Titans and Texans. Never a game you can take for granted in the NFL, as you know.
No, never.
This one's going to be closer than what a lot of people expect.
Yeah.
It's just the way it goes. Maybe.
You're probably right because they're coming off of a bye. I'm just looking at the scenarios.
Tyrod Taylor's not going to throw 3 picks like he did against Miami 2 games in a row.
And hearing Mike Keith and Rhett, bring up the fact that his MO is take care of the ball. That's what Tyrod Taylor's done, in his career. That's why he's around for so long, other than being a bridge guy. There are no ranking systems in the NFL. You're either at the top of your division or you're not. If they win by 1, it's still a win. It'll be number 7 on the list, man. So I'll say this. Don't take them lightly. That's my first key to the game right there. Well, don't take them lightly and start fast.
Weird stuff starts in division games.
Yeah, they do.
I'll tell you what. And this team has been outscored 20-0 in the first quarter in their last couple of games. The last 3 games. Titans have been outscored 20-0 in the first.
Mm-hmm.
So, opportunity to change that. Look, you give a team like that just a little bit of an opening, and they'll take it, and they'll win the whole thing. Keys to the game brought to you by Toyota. Did you know your local Toyota dealer has 11 different Toyotas built in the USA, with new vehicles arriving daily, and every new Toyota comes with Toyota Care, 2-year no-cost maintenance. Toyota, let's go places. Ramon, your key to the game for a Titans win against Houston.
I would say this. Control that offensive line of Houston. Can't let those guys, they're young. They don't have a whole lot of experience. I said this on 3HL yesterday. The identity of this Tennessee Titans goes through the defensive line. It goes through them. Those guys got to set a tone against this offensive line of the Houston Texans and say, today is just not your day. You had a bye week. You rested. Well, you got to go back to Houston. That's going to be the first start. Control their offensive line and push them back as much as they can.
No doubt about it. I like it. For me, one key on offense and one on defense. On the offensive side of the ball, this is a Texans defense that ranks 31st in the NFL in run defense. This can be a get-right game for the offensive line, for Adrian Peterson, for Deontay Foreman, a former Houston Texan, always a little bit of extra playing in there against your former team. I think that's the key for this Titans team. Get the offense back on track because, look, the explosive plays just haven't been there since Derrick Henry went out. And that's been the hallmark of this Titans offense under Arthur Smith, under Todd Downing at times this year, have been the X plays. You're not as likely to get those without the threat of Derrick Henry. Establishing the run today is not just going to help you on Sunday. I think it's going to help you moving forward in life without Derrick Henry, with the New England Patriots coming up the next week, having to respect the run a little bit more.
And if I can just add on to your point, the golden gun of Derrick Henry, if we go to golden eye, is not there. I think, honestly, Todd Downing has to keep the same mentality. There was times in those games where you would just hand it to Derrick and wait for something to happen.
Right.
I think you still got to do that.
Right.
With Deontay Foreman.
Yeah, I agree.
Just keep giving it to him. I know he's not Derrick, but eventually the rock cracks.
I think you're right. The other key defensively, stopping Brandon Cooks. This guy kills the Titans. He's really good this year, tied for 7th in the league in receptions. He has accounted for a third of the Texans' receiving yards. Last year, had 11 catches for 166 and 2 touchdowns in the season finale. He has led Houston in receiving yards in 7 of their 9 games this season. 2 of his first 3 games this year were 100-yard games. Was excellent against the Jags to start the year. Christian Fulton's got to continue to be the Christian Fulton that we've seen this year. 48 passes for the Saints last week. Christian Fulton was targeted once, broke it up.
Becoming a bad man.
CB1.
Yeah, 100%. Last key real quick. Do not take for granted winning.
That's right.
I know it's easy to say we're going to win. We're going to do not take for granted winning. That means the crowd at Nissan. That means the players on the field. That means the coaches. Don't matter if they're 1-8 or 8-1. Treat them all the same. Line them up, knock them down.
The X factor is definitely those receivers. Brandon Cooks, A.J. Brown. We mentioned with Mike Keith earlier, A.J. Brown has had a lot of success against the Houston Texans in his career. 27 catches for 447, 5 touchdowns in 4 games. Unbelievable against the Houston Texans. Of course, his long catch last year to set up the Sam Sloman field goal to win the division last year was a legendary one. I was waiting for it.
Titans legend, Sam.
Thank you. Thank you. So, going to be big. Another note real quick, Ramon, on the way out here. Jeffrey Simmons needs 2 sacks to become the first Titan since 1982 when sacks became an official statistic to record 2 or more sacks in 3 straight games. Big man's got to eat. And Tyrod Taylor is a mobile guy, but it's a good challenge coming up for the Titans defense. You know what that music means. It is time to get out of here. Fun show today. Thank you to Mike Keith, Ben Troupe, to Rhett Bryan as well. Always love hanging out with my guy, Ramon Foster. Jonathan Schaefer, we tolerate him too. But on the way out, we send you into your Friday workday. It is Macho Man Todd Titan with your preview, Titans and Texans. We'll talk to you next week.
Oh, yeah. Houston, we have a problem. Yeah, and that problem starts for you on Sunday when you travel to Nashville to take on the Tennessee Titans. Yeah, the real Tennessee Titans, real 8-2 Titans. Yeah, greatest team in the history of sports. Yeah, and you're going to know when we look you right in the eye that we are not a figment of your imagination and we are as real as it gets. Yeah, number 1 team in the NFL. Yeah, number 1 team, greatest team of destiny. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're looking at yourself in Houston and you're thinking, is there a chance to win? Is the sun going to shine? The answer is no. It's going to be rainy and cloudy. And you're going to take the elbow from the top rope. Host of your 6-shooter Texans, because we are the fastest gun in the East, West, North, and South. It's time to tighten up. Dig it.